Chapter 368. Young Huili could accept the first explanation, but the latter. Mr. Yu, you must be joking. How did your fiancé become the CEO of Glory World Corporation? Isn't it unfair for your fiancé to come here? Young Huili played dumb, but Shisheng couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with him. CEO Yang, we all know the truth. What's the point of saying this? She threw a stack of documents on the table. All the documents are here. CEO Yang, take a look. Yang Huili's expression was even worse than when he met Shen Jiayin. He picked up the documents and flipped through them. DNA test, proof of identity, transfer of shares, all the necessary materials were available. Yang Huili's hands trembled. These shares belonged to Sheng Xia's parents and the rest of the Sheng family. Now all of them were in Shisheng's hands. A total of 54%. He was the biggest shareholder of the company and had absolute control of the shares. Glory World Corporation belonged to the Sheng family, and most of the shares were still in their hands. Yang Huili called in his legal team, probably to look for loopholes. However, Shisheng could give them whatever they wanted. The lawyers were very well prepared. Yang Huili and the others couldn't find any loopholes. The first thing Shisheng did when he took office was to recruit and fire people. The lawyers were the first. He even borrowed a lot of people from Yu Xingyun and Gu Yan who knew the ins and outs of the company. She couldn't handle so many things alone. She didn't care about their reactions. Those who needed to be replaced would be replaced, and those who needed to be fired would be fired. Trouble? I can't beat you to death. Unhappy? Eyes the air. If you're unhappy, you can be the heir too. Call the police? I'm not afraid of money. I'll pay for it. Some people in the company refused to give up their power. Shisheng directly brought along the bodyguards borrowed from Yu Jiao and beat them up until they voluntarily handed over their power. There were also people who played tricks. Usually these people ended up worse than the previous ones. If they weren't squatting, then they would have mysteriously disappeared. Almost all the senior management of Glory World Corporation had been dealt with by Shisheng. Those who were obedient were allowed to stay. Those who disobeyed were directly thrown out of the company. There was also a lot of money. Glory World Corporation threw people out every day, and many people waited outside the company. There was money to be picked up. Such a large group was thrown into chaos. Some went on strike, and some went on a rampage. The Shisheng was like a group of bandits. Whoever dared to cause trouble would be punished severely. Gradually, there were only a few people left in the group. However, those who insisted on staying not only had their salaries doubled, but those who were capable were also promoted. Some of the people who left back then regretted it. If they knew that the new boss was so good, they wouldn't have left. However, it was no longer possible for her to go back now. The core members of Glory World Corporation had all been requested from Yu Xingyun, or provided to her by Yu Jiao. The group's accounts were quickly cleared. Shisheng looked at the thick account book with disgust. What are you looking at? All the money has been taken by those people. Shisheng threw the account book to the new CFO along with a card. The password is 234876. Money is not a problem. I need to see the group running as soon as possible. The CFO was nervous. How much money could this guy have? But when he checked the card, he decided to work for this new boss for the rest of his life. With such a rich and powerful boss, who else could he rely on but her? With money, everything was easy. The places without manpower were quickly filled. People were poached from other places with high salaries, and they quickly got the hang of the group's affairs. Glory World Corporation, which was about to collapse under the new boss, slowly recovered in a short period of time. Yang Huili's people wanted to interfere as well, but the shares they had added up couldn't compare to Shisheng's. Moreover, Shisheng didn't lack money and had a well-established capital chain. With HK Group backing him, they could only resort to underhanded methods. In the end, they resorted to underhanded methods. However, after failing a few times, they stopped. Shisheng guessed that it was time for Yang Huiran to show up. However, she didn't expect that instead of Yang Huiran, the female lead would show up. Shen Jiayin seemed to be waiting for her as she blocked the entrance to her neighborhood. Sheng Xia, let's talk. Talk about what? Shisheng held Yu Jiao's arm and looked at her calmly. The female lead actually came to look for her. What the hell? Had she unlocked some incredible side plot? Shen Jiayin took a few steps closer to Shisheng, her expression complicated. I didn't expect you to be the heir to Glory World Corporation. When she heard this news, she found it strange. In her previous life, she was clearly a rich and beautiful woman. How did she suddenly become the heir to Glory World Corporation in this life? There are many things you didn't expect. Shen Jiayin choked, once again wondering if her previous life was just a dream. But other than her, nothing else had changed. Only she. Can I talk to you alone? Shen Jiayin glanced at Yu Jiao. Alone. Usually, in such a situation, she would play dirty. Although she didn't know the extent of the female lead's breakdown, she didn't look like someone easy to deal with. Of course she wouldn't go. I'm not free. Shisheng dragged Yu Jiao inside. Sheng Xia. Shen Jiayin caught up. I really have something important to tell you. I'll just take up a few minutes of your time. Then say it. Shisheng paused. Say it here or don't. A ruthless glint flashed across Shen Jiayin's eyes. There are too many people here. Ha! You want to trick me into going out and then catch me? Shen Jiayin, I'm tired of this. Let's try something new. Shen Jiayin couldn't help but grip the hem of her clothes. After a moment, she calmed down. Sheng Xia, I just want to talk to you alone. That's all. Don't you understand what my little sister Xiaoxia is saying? Yu Jiao cast a sidelong glance at Shen Jiayin. Or do you think I'll let little sister Xiaoxia leave my sight with you? He wanted nothing more than to hang on to her 24/7. How could he let her leave with a strange woman? Shen Jiayin really didn't know how to respond. He wasn't falling for it. She subconsciously glanced at a shop across the neighborhood and gritted her teeth. In that case, I'll leave first. Sheng Xia, if you've thought it through, come find me. As she walked past Shisheng, she lowered her voice and said 2 words in that instant. Shisheng watched her leave without a change in his expression. If this was the real Sheng Xia, Shen Jiayin could indeed trick her. Unfortunately, she wasn't. Other than Yu Jiao, she didn't care about anyone else. As long as it was within her means, she could help those who had given her convenience and kindness, but she had to do her best to help them. Impossible. She wasn't that kind of person. Nor would she become that kind of person. She was cold-blooded and heartless. But so what? Kind people often died quickly and had to take the blame. Even if they cleared their names in the future, could they come back to life? Asterisk pleading for votes T crying. There were so few votes. Chapter 369. Shen Jiayin waited for a few days, but there was no news from the Shisheng. Yu Jiao picked her up every day when she went out, and there were many people around him. It was unrealistic to take her away by force. Why? You can't even summon someone? Mo stood on the balcony with a glass of red wine in his hand, looking at Shen Jiayin with a faint smile. Shen Jiayin was only wearing a spaghetti strap dress, so there wasn't much exposed. Her hair was draped over her shoulders, which happened to cover some of her exposed skin. She stood in the living room facing the balcony, and when she heard Mo's mocking words, she felt even more frustrated. You're so capable. Why don't you go yourself? That woman is very guarded against me. Mo walked into the living room. Shen Jiayin, or have you softened your heart? Soften my heart? From the moment she was reborn, she swore that she would never soften her heart. She's guarded against you, but she's even more guarded against me. Even when I told her that Shenyang was in my hands, she didn't do anything. After a pause, she continued. Could it be that she doesn't know about Shenyang's existence? Mo put the wine glass aside and reached out to hold Shen Jiayin's shoulder, his fingertips sliding down. She was able to take over Glory World Corporation in such a short time. Do you think she doesn't know about Shenyang's existence? Then why didn't she contact me? Shen Jiayin whimpered from Mo's pinch. She wanted to push Mo away, but Mo was faster than her. He carried her to the sofa and hugged her waist with one hand, trapping her on his lap. Shen Jiayin trembled and bit her lip, not making a sound. Her body was very sensitive, especially when this man knew where she was most sensitive. Mo's lips moved closer to her ear. She should be waiting or investigating. Don't forget, she has Yu Jiu by her side. How old was she when the Sheng family got into trouble? Sheng Yang is a stranger to her, so it's normal that she didn't take the bait so quickly. Inmo's fingers slid to the hem of Shen Jiayin's skirt and lifted it slightly. Compared to her, you're a little impatient. It wasn't her first time with Inmo, and she had lived for so long in her previous life, so she wasn't a little girl. She placed her hand on Inmo's shoulder and slowly moved. That place, have you found it? Shen Jiayin asked Inmo. Yu Jiu isn't easy to deal with. We can't get that necklace. Inmo coldly replied. After Shen Jiayin was done, Inmo pushed her aside and entered the bathroom. He turned on the shower and propped himself against the wall. The water cascaded down from above, and the image of Yu Jiu in his arms surfaced in his mind. Her arrogant and disdainful look, a cold and mocking smile. In his mind, the image of that woman rolling around under his body appeared. She seemed much more interesting than Shen Jiayin. Shisheng had no idea that the male lead was thinking about her. She was currently being pestered by Yu Jiu, who wanted her to get some lousy tattoo for him. How would she know how to do that? She wished she could poke a tortoise on his head. He didn't know what was wrong with this guy to want to do something like this. You really want me to do it? Let's go to the tattoo parlor tomorrow. Shisheng was a little hesitant. What if she really got a tortoise on it? No, I want you. I don't want anyone else to see my body. Yu Jiu sprawled on the bed with a smug expression. Shisheng broke out in a cold sweat. Holding the tattoo tools, she didn't know where to start. Sure enough, it was better to smash it all at once. It was more convenient and convenient. In the end, Shisheng tattooed a flower on Yu Jiu's waist. The layers of petals resembled the waves of the sea and were silvery white in color. At first glance, it looked a little like a dandelion, but the center of the flower was red. Perhaps because Shisheng's hand was trembling, she couldn't tell what the center of the flower was. Yu Jiu looked at himself in the mirror with a gloomy expression. Wife, what kind of tattoo is this? You told me to do it casually. Shisheng put down the tools and jumped onto the bed. Don't mind it. Most people can't get a tattoo even if they want to. I only did it for you, because you're my man. Yu Jiu looked at Shisheng suspiciously. He twisted his body and continued looking at himself in the mirror. What kind of flower is this? Yu Jiu expressed that he had never seen such a flower before. Shisheng hugged him by the waist and pulled him into his embrace. I'll take you to see it if there's a chance in the future. Yu Jiu changed his position. When he raised his hand, he knocked on the cabinet next to him and took the necklace off. The necklace fell to the floor with a crisp sound. Shisheng patted him and bent down to pick it up. A second later, Shisheng pushed Yu Jiu away and got off the bed. The lamp next to her happened to shine on the necklace. It reflected a beautiful light, but under that light, a row of numbers could be faintly seen. 42492474S. What was this? From Yu Jiu's angle, he could see the row of numbers. Shisheng didn't touch the necklace and jumped onto the bed to look at it again. The numbers were still there. It wasn't an illusion. Shisheng copied the numbers down and picked up the necklace. What are these numbers? He asked Yu Jiu. Yu Jiu shook his head. A string of numbers and a letter. There were many meanings, but there was also the possibility that it was meaningless. 42492474S. The two of them stared at the string of numbers for a long time, but couldn't come up with anything. In Shisheng's words, if the male lead had taken a fancy to a prop, it definitely wasn't a decoration. There was definitely something fishy going on. Shisheng showed the numbers to Gu Yan and Yu Xingyun. Both of them expressed that they didn't know. In the coffee shop, Shisheng stared blankly at the string of numbers. Hey Brainiac, what are you looking at? Yao Qin tossed her bag to Shisheng and sat down next to her. School's over. Shisheng raised her head and waved her hand to order Yao Qin's favorite dessert and coffee. Ah, Brainiac, why aren't you studying anymore? Yao Qin hugged Shisheng's arm and swung it back and forth. I'm so bored at school by myself. If you're bored, you should read more. Shisheng's expression was calm. You'll grow your IQ. Shengxia, you're bullying me again. Yao Qin huffed and turned to the other side. She began to complain about her university life. You don't know. Those girls are crazy. I don't think they're half as cute as your childhood sweetheart. Oh right. Why don't I see your pendant? Yao Qin looked around. To nourish the fetus. Pfft. Yao Qin spat out the coffee she had just drunk. Shisheng glanced at Yao Qin. Yao Qin hurriedly grabbed a tissue and wiped the coffee in front of Shisheng. I couldn't help it. Nourishing the fetus? That was hilarious. You don't know. Those girls are crazy. I don't think they're half as cute as your childhood sweetheart. Oh right. Why don't I see your pendant? Yao Qin looked around. To nourish the fetus. Pfft. Yao Qin spat out the coffee she had just drunk. Shisheng glanced at Yao Qin. Yao Qin hurriedly grabbed a tissue and wiped the coffee in front of Shisheng. I couldn't help it. Nourishing the fetus? That was hilarious. Asterisk cherub. Why aren't you updating? Little fairy. Nourishing the fetus. Shisheng, you're asexual? Little fairy. Get lost. Chapter 370. Yao Qin knew that Shisheng was the CEO of Shengshi Corporation. At first she was a little awkward, but she soon got into character. CEO Sheng, can you bring me shopping later? Oh. What do you like? Shisheng raised his eyebrows and looked at her. Yao Qin shyly pinched him. My breasts have grown. I want to buy bras. Shisheng's gaze moved down to Yao Qin's chest. What are you looking at? Yao Qin covered her chest with her hands. Shisheng shook his head. You really need to read more books. Yao Qin didn't realize what books Shisheng was talking about until they walked out of the cafe. What did it feel like to have an experienced driver by your side? Yao Qin really wanted to buy bras. This girl liked girly clothes. There were all kinds of lace and pink. Shisheng face-bombed. She was already a university student, not a primary school student. I want the ones just now. Yao Qin went to the counter to pay. The salesperson handed the bag to Yao Qin and said politely, that lady has already paid the bill for you. Yao Qin looked in the direction of the salesperson and immediately walked over with a big smile. CEO Sheng, do you need someone to warm your bed? Nope. Shisheng put down the magazine. Let's go. Yao Qin naturally held Shisheng's hand. Your little sweetheart is so lucky. He got you so early. If only I were a man. Shisheng glanced at her hand and didn't pull it away. He walked out naturally. Even if you were a man, you wouldn't stand a chance. Your looks are not good enough. What? With my looks, I'm the campus belle in our school, okay? Yao Qin patted her face and refuted shamelessly. Are the people in your school blind? They are quite blind. Yao Qin suddenly thought of something and added. Yao Qin dragged Shisheng along and insisted on shopping. Yao Qin was a clothes hanger. She looked good in everything, but this girl liked girly clothes. Shisheng was speechless. This makes me look small. Yao Qin explained to Shisheng. They're not small anymore. Shisheng's eyes fell on Yao Qin's chest and he smiled wickedly. Yao Qin's face darkened. Shengxia, does your sweetheart know how dirty you are? Shisheng replied. I think so. You win. Since it was already late, the two were about to head out for dinner when Shisheng called the house's landline to call Yu Jiu out. The restaurant was a little far from her house, so Shisheng and Yao Qin went in first. Midsummer. Yao Qin suddenly pulled Shisheng aside and pointed in a direction mysteriously. Look over there. Isn't that Uncle Gu and Uncle Yu? Shisheng followed her gaze. Sure enough, it was Gu Yan and Yu Xingyun. The two of them were sitting by the window, quietly eating. Shisheng asked Yao Qin what she was doing with his eyes. Yao Qin glared at her in exasperation. Don't you think the two of them are very strange? What's so strange about them? The two of them had always been on good terms. What was so strange about them having a meal together? Just as this thought flashed through Shisheng's mind, Yu Xingyun suddenly reached out to wipe the corner of Gu Yan's mouth. Gu Yan looked up and smiled at Yu Xingyun. Shisheng, did you see that? I've always felt that something was off about them. Yao Qin excitedly grabbed Shisheng's arm. Uncle Gu and Uncle Yu are both handsome uncles. They look so good together. Shisheng tried hard to recall. It did seem that something was off when the two of them interacted. Moreover, Guyan hadn't been home for a long time. Every time he came back, he would sit for a while or cook a meal for her and Yu Jio before leaving. As this thought popped into her mind, she suddenly realized that Yu Xingyun and Gu Yan's interactions were full of passion. What are the two of you standing here for? Yu Jio reached out and snatched Shisheng from Yao Qin's hands. Yao Qin puffed up her cheeks. Mr. Yu, why do you always have to snatch people away from me? Who's snatching people away from who, HM? He hadn't even settled the score with her for abducting his wife from their home. But she was the one in the right. Yao Qin harumphed. Isn't that my dad? Yu Jio saw Yu Xingyun and pulled Shisheng over. Gu Yan saw them first from his direction. His expression stiffened before he smiled and greeted them. Little Xia, Little Jio, Yao Qin, you're here for dinner too? Uncle Gu, Uncle Yu. Yao Qin greeted them obediently, but her eyes were sizing them up. Yu Xingyun turned his head and saw his son walking over with his future daughter-in-law. For a moment, his expression turned unnatural. However, he quickly found his place. Stinky brat, it's already so late and you haven't let little Xia eat yet. What if she gets hungry? Sit down, let's eat together. Guyan had already called the waiter over. The three children often ate together with them, so he knew what to eat. Yu Xingyun sat down and was about to ask Yu Jio to sit next to him when he heard his future daughter-in-law's slightly smiling voice. Uncle Yu and Uncle Gu, please sit. The three of us can sit on one side. This seat was spacious enough to seat 4 people in a row. Yu Xingyun felt that Shisheng's words were interesting, but he didn't dare think too much about it and moved to Gu Yan's side. Shisheng and Yao Qin inwardly exchanged glances. These two really are quite compatible. They were both so handsome. Yu Jio felt that the atmosphere was a bit strange. His own wife was actually exchanging flirtatious glances with Yao Qin. His father and Uncle Gu didn't seem to be used to it. What was going on? Little Xia, how are things at Glory World Corporation? Do you really not need our help? Yu Xingyun broke the silence. Amen, Uncle Yu has already helped me a lot. Those people you lent me are really useful. I've doubled their wages. Yu Xingyun choked. I don't think they're willing to come back. You can only take the money if you have the ability. That's true. Yu Xingyun nodded, then suddenly changed the topic. How are things over there? I think they're about to lose their cool. Let's wait a little longer. Yang Huili had been very well behaved recently. He must have received instructions from Yang Huiran. Yao Qin didn't understand what they were talking about. She lowered her head and ate, occasionally glancing at the 2 handsome uncles across from her. By the time they finished eating, the exchange of information was more or less complete. Then you youngsters have fun. Your Uncle Gu and I will be leaving first. Yu Xingyun paid the bill and instructed, Brat, take good care of the 2 young ladies. Got it. Uncle Yu, Uncle Gu, take care. Goodbye, Uncle Yu. Goodbye, Uncle Gu. Yu Xingyun and Gu Yan waved at them and left one after another. CEO Sheng, do you think they're compatible? As soon as they left, Yao Qin hugged Shisheng's arm and shook it. What are you talking about? Yu Jio was dumbfounded. He was just a little late. What did these 2 women do? Bah. What did Yao Qin do with his wife? It's fine. Shisheng patted Yao Qin, telling her to calm down. She could accept it, but Yu Jio might not. It was better not to let him know for now. Guyan. Little Xia, I came out of the closet. Shisheng. Oh, congratulations. Yu Xingyun. Son, I came out of the closet. Yu Jio. What? Yu Xingyun. It's fine. Chapter 371. When Yu Xingyun sent Gu Yan back to the company, the atmosphere between them was a little gloomy. At the traffic light, Yu Xingyun finally spoke. Little Xia, that child. It's strange, isn't it? Gu Yan answered naturally. She's changed a lot in the past few years. I don't know where she learned all these skills. Sometimes I'm worried that she'll go astray. Yu Xingyun freed his hand to hold Gu Yan's. That child has her own opinions and is very confident. She handled the matter at Shengshe Corporation very well. Although her methods were a little unreasonable, speed is the most effective. We might not have been able to come up with these ideas, even if we were the ones thinking about them. Gu Yan's brows were still furrowed. Yang Huiran isn't that easy to deal with. I've already collected some information. Yang Huiran's actions aren't trivial. Don't worry. Guyan glanced at him and forced a smile. After sending Yao Qin home, Shisheng was as calm as the wind when he coincidentally bumped into the male and female leads. The male and female leads were just fleeting clouds. Yao Qin didn't live in a high-class neighborhood, so what were the male and female leads doing here? Sightseeing? But it clearly wasn't what Shisheng was thinking. The two were being chased. Protagonists always had many enemies. Because they bumped into each other on a narrow path, Inmo and Shen Jiayin were forced to stop. The pursuers blocked their path of retreat. Perhaps because they couldn't tell if Shisheng and Yujio were friends or foes, the pursuers didn't dare to act rashly. The three sides were in a deadlock. Wait for me, Shisheng said to Yujio. Yujio smiled and nodded, then retreated to the side. He looked relaxed, but in reality his body was tense, ready to strike at any moment. They say to beat the dog when it's down. Shen Jiayin, don't say I'm bullying you. Who told you to bump into me? Shisheng's voice traveled to the ears of the pursuers. Although Shisheng had made his stance clear, they didn't believe him so easily and continued to wait and see. Shen Jiayin calmly said, Sheng Xia, let's put our grudges aside for now. You're a cultivator. They won't let you off. Although she seemed to be persuading Shisheng to stand on her side, in reality, she exposed her identity as a cultivator. Shisheng narrowed his eyes at the pursuers. Where did these people come from? Little girl, as long as you help us take them down, we will reward you handsomely. The men stood in the dark and shouted at the Shisheng. Sheng Xia, they lied to you, Shen Jiayin said anxiously. Inmo didn't say anything from the beginning to the end. His gaze fell on Shisheng, and he couldn't help but size her up. It doesn't matter. Shisheng shrugged. With a flick of her wrist, the iron sword appeared in her hand. I'll cripple you first. Kill him? How could the female lead be killed? Shen Jiayin's expression changed. Shisheng had already shot towards her. Her speed was so fast that it left people speechless. Inmo's eyes burned with passion. This woman's cultivation was not low. Shen Jiayin only knew some martial arts and was not a cultivator. It was a piece of cake for Shisheng to hit her. Inmo Shen Jiayin was unarmed and defeated in 2 moves. She could only ask for Inmo's help. But Inmo didn't seem to hear her. He coldly watched as Shen Jiayin was kicked to the ground by Shisheng. He took 2 steps forward, his eyes burning with passion. Sheng Xia, why don't you come with me? What did you say? Shisheng thought she was hearing things. The male lead wasn't going to save the female lead, but he wanted her to go with him? Come with me. I can give you whatever he can give you. Inmo's gaze made Shisheng very uncomfortable. She felt like an object being sized up. She had always been the one to size others up with such a gaze. This male lead was very bold. Very good, the male lead has completely lost it. You've successfully attracted my attention. Mr. Een, you can apply for the Guinness Book of Records for your face to snatch someone in front of me. Yujio stepped forward and pulled Shisheng into his arms, domineeringly declaring his sovereignty. Sheng Xia, you can consider it. You're welcome to come find me anytime. Inmo ignored Yujio. His figure flashed and disappeared from their sight. Shisheng. Hey male lead, you dropped your female lead. Don't you want her anymore? She thought this cheat belonged to the female lead. She hadn't expected it to be the male leads. Shisheng glanced at Shen Jiayin on the ground and laughed gloatingly. Your man has abandoned you. Shisheng hadn't made any big moves in the past few years, but she had ruined several plots where the male and female leads had gone through life and death together. Without such a plot to set the stage, forcing them to be together would result in mutual suspicion and wariness. Do you think you can run away? Shen Jiayin sneered. I didn't say I was going to run. She didn't care about those idiots. Where should I chop first? My hands or my feet? Shen Jiayin's face paled. Sheng Xia, you're crazy. Probably. Shisheng nodded. Let's chop off the feet first. Shen Jiayin shrank back and glared at her with gritted teeth. Sheng Xia, don't you want to know where Xingyang is? Shisheng glanced at Shen Jiayin. Shen Jiayin thought she had a bargaining chip. I know where he is. He's your only family member, right? Why don't you understand? Shisheng shook her head like she was retarded. The iron sword in her hand fell without hesitation. She was really retarded to threaten her with someone she didn't care about. Xin Jiayin's pupils constricted as she watched the iron sword land on her body. The iron sword pierced through her skin with a soft thud. Her abdomen felt cold. What happened to chopping off her feet? Shisheng pulled the sword out. Don't worry, you won't die. You're the female lead after all. Shengxia. Xin Jiayin clutched the wound on her abdomen and called out her name with much difficulty. Didn't she say that it was just the beginning? Xin Jiayin didn't know that Shisheng meant that they could start attacking her. It wasn't a proper fight like she had thought. Shisheng turned to look at the people who had approached them. Do you want her or me? If you want her, I'll give her to you. If you want me, you can go to hell. The group of people weighed the pros and cons for a moment before taking Xin Jiayin. Their only target today was Xin Jiayin. Xin Jiayin was taken away by the group of people. Before she left, Xin Jiayin howled with hatred. Shengxia, I won't let you off. It had been like this in her previous life, and it was the same in this life. She couldn't take it lying down. After Enemo left, Yujio's expression was gloomy. When he entered the room, he pressed down on Shisheng and kissed him all over the place. When did he take a liking to you? Yujio's voice was hoarse. His hot kisses rubbed against Shisheng's skin but didn't enter. Who? Shisheng was already a little confused from the kisses. Now that Yujio had stopped at the last step, Shisheng was even more confused. Enemo. When did he take a liking to you? Yujio said through gritted teeth. How would I know? F***ck. Who knew when he had broken down? Shisheng shifted his body. Yujio stepped back and looked at him with a dark gaze. Shisheng. Wasn't he going to F***ck him after teasing him? Shisheng flipped over and pinned him down, his hands pressing down on Yujio's wrists. What nonsense are you thinking about? Yujio turned his head away and vented his anger through his nose. Shisheng. She leaned over and kissed him. Yujio cooperated, but his kiss was a little heavy. Shisheng was so angry that he almost slapped him to death. Why were they the same? Pooey. Everyone must be the same. Thank you to the cherub who tipped me for feeding me, requesting votes. Babies, hurry up and vote. Chapter 372. Yao Qin had drunk a little too much, so she didn't have much of an impression of what had happened. She only remembered that someone had forced her to drink. Shisheng didn't tell her what had happened after that. Shengxia, did I cause trouble for you? Yao Qin stood in front of Shisheng like a child who had done something wrong. No, don't think too much. Oh. Yao Qin scratched her head. She glanced at the A4 paper in Shisheng's hand and asked curiously, why are you looking at this again? She had been looking at this last time too. Because I don't know what's behind this. Shisheng sighed. There were no clues to this. How could he read it? What's behind this? What's behind this? Yao Qin moved closer to him. What's wrong? Yao Qin straightened the paper and looked at it for a while. This number looks familiar. Wait, let me ask my dad. Yao Qin ran to the living room to make a call. Shisheng followed her out. Dad, do you remember the organization called Secret that you took me to 3 months ago? Yes. Do you remember the code? 424927002S. It's nothing. I was just asking. Okay, bye. Shengxia. Yao Qin turned around. This is the code of that organization. What organization? It's a very private organization that keeps things safe. I think my dad went there to retrieve something that belonged to my grandfather. It's been there for a few years. All the boxes start with the code 42492. I asked them out of curiosity, and they said that it was the birthday of the founder and his wife. They even told me the story of how they founded the organization. It was very touching, so I remember it very clearly. Thus is the abbreviation for Secret. Their organization is called Secret. Little Yao Qin, you're finally useful. Shisheng smiled and patted Yao Qin's head. It's good that I can help you. Yao Qin scratched her head. Shisheng flew to Country S to find the organization. It was just as Yao Qin had said. However, Shisheng had to enter the code himself. There were only 4 chances. Shisheng tried to enter the original owner's birthday. But it was wrong. It was wrong to enter the original owner's parents' birthday. Try 819,741. Yu Jiu reminded. Shisheng had already decided that if she couldn't open it, she'd just hack it open. Without any hesitation, she entered the numbers Yu Jiu had given her. He didn't expect it to really open. Shisheng gave Yu Jiu an odd look. Yu Jiu chuckled. That's the code for that document. Did you forget? Shisheng was suddenly enlightened. The end of the code of the land purchase contract. Sheng Xiao's parents had left behind a lot of things, all of which were related to that piece of land. The purchase contract had already gone through the necessary procedures, as well as the materials that were prepared to be submitted to the government. There were also photos of diamonds. It was a natural deep hole, probably formed when the Earth's crust moved. He could vaguely see something white. Most importantly, there was a video of Yang Huairan negotiating with them. They probably wanted to hand these things over to the country, but before they could, Yang Huairan had chased them down. It could only exist here. On the plane back home, Shisheng leaned against Yu Jiu and looked at the clouds outside. Don't you think they're stupid? Why bother? In order to hand these things over to the country, they were willing to give up their lives. Yu Jiu ruffled Shisheng's hair. They're not stupid. Everyone has a scale in their heart. Darkness and light each occupy one side. Some people like the darkness, while others like the light. Our parents only like the light, so their scales are tilted toward the light. They're still stupid, Shisheng said faintly. Then, do you prefer the light or the darkness? Yu Jiu gazed into the distance, his gaze gentle and peaceful. Wherever you are, there's light. You're the only light I yearn for. Shisheng felt his heartbeat quicken. He was getting better at flirting. She leaned in and kissed Yu Jiu without saying a word. This was good too. At least he was there to accompany her in the darkness. After getting off the plane, Yu Jiu escorted Shisheng through the passageway. Yu Jiu's men were already waiting outside the airport. As soon as Shisheng got into the car, a beautiful figure circled around from the back. Yu Jiu. Yu Jiu's body stiffened. He slowly turned his head, his brows furrowed. The newcomer was a girl of mixed blood. She could only be described with one word, kawaii. She was stopped outside by a man in a suit. She looked at him with resentment and helplessness. Yu Jiu. Shisheng looked at Yu Jiu in bewilderment. Who was this woman? Go back first. Yu Jiu bent over and touched Shisheng's forehead. I'll be back soon. Shisheng's lips tugged into a smile. If you dare do anything to let me down, we'll die together. Shisheng pushed him out and instructed the men in front to start the car. The motorcade quickly disappeared from Yu Jiu's sight. His lips curved into a smile, but when he raised his head to look at the woman, his expression was cold. Why are you looking for me? She's the one you've decided on. Yes. Shisheng already had enough evidence in his hands. Previously, he had wanted to secretly get rid of Yang Huairan, who knew that his men would court death and implicate Yao Qin. Yang Huairan might be able to cover the sky with one hand, but there were things he couldn't control. Shisheng packed up the evidence and sent a copy to all the major media outlets. There were bound to be 1 or 2 media outlets that weren't afraid of death. Soon news of Yang Huairan's corruption, disregard for human life, and forced women into prostitution were published. Everyone was well aware of Yang Huairan's evil deeds, but because there was no evidence, the higher-ups didn't make a move. Now that these things were out, the higher-ups immediately seized the opportunity to suspend Yang Huairan. Because of the negative impact, the higher-ups sent a special team to investigate Yang Huairan. Shisheng provided them with a lot of useful information. In return, Shisheng met with Yang Huairan. Yang Huairan and Yang Huaili were very similar, but his face was slightly older. At first glance, he gave off an amiable feeling, not a bad person. The two sat across from each other, Yang Huairan's hands still handcuffed. To think that I've fallen into the hands of a little girl in this lifetime. Yang Huairan sighed, without any anger or indignation. It's your honor to fall into my hands. Shisheng smiled faintly, his eyes calm without any ripples. Yang Huairan, who was the one who tipped you off? Tipped me off. Yang Huairan was puzzled. but then understood. You're talking about who told me about that piece of land, right? It's sure Yang. In name, you have to call him uncle. Yang Huiran probably knew that he had no chance of turning things around, so he would drag anyone down with him. There was a type of person who was prepared to meet his end from the moment he committed a crime. Yang Huiran was such a person. Shi Sheng's face was calm from beginning to end, as if the person who tipped him off didn't matter to him. I hope you have a good time in prison. Shi Sheng knocked on the table, smiled, and got up to leave. Yang Huiran's case was extremely vile. Corruption aside, he even forced women into prostitution. Only now did the bullied university students dare to stand up and identify the officials they used to serve. Batch after batch of people were taken down. The entire officialdom was in a state of panic. Asterisk the above is pure nonsense. I refuse to find fault with you. Please vote. Chapter 373. By the time she found Xingyang, he was already dead. He had committed suicide. He had even left behind a letter of remorse for his actions to Sheng Xia's parents. What was the use of remorse when he was already dead? The human heart was always so greedy and selfish. Ever since Yu Jiu parted ways with Shi Sheng, he had not returned. There was no call, no news, nothing at all. Shi Sheng methodically dealt with Yang Huili, who was still in the company, and did not seem to be distracted by Yu Jiu. The next time she saw Xin Jiayin was at a stone gambling auction. Shi Sheng accompanied Yao Qin. Xin Jiayin stood beside a man with a haggard face. The man held her hand intimately, and led her around the stone gambling hall. Xin Jiayin would occasionally speak, and the man would point out some stones. She heard that Xin Jiayin's company had been acquired by someone. It must be this man. No matter how powerful Xin Jiayin was in the plot, without the male lead's protection, she would only be imprisoned with broken wings. Sheng Xia, help me choose one. Yao Qin swung Shi Sheng's hand. What do you like? Shi Sheng retracted his gaze and turned to ask the person beside him with a smile. Yao Qin couldn't help but complain. CEO Sheng, do you think this is a restaurant? You can even order food. You can order whatever you want. Of course, I can give you whatever you want. Yao Qin was speechless. The top student was as domineering as ever. CEO Sheng. The man with Shen Jiayin was standing in front of Shi Sheng. Shen Jiayin was still holding the man's hand as she glared at Shi Sheng with hatred in her eyes. It was all this woman's fault. She had become like this. Shi Sheng sized up the man. Who are you? Little Yao Qin, do you know him? Yao Qin shook her head innocently. If you don't know me, don't call me that. I don't talk to strangers. CEO Sheng is so busy every day that you don't know me. I am. You don't have to introduce yourself. I don't want to know. Don't make any bets with me. I'm not interested. Alright, you can leave now. Goodbye. Shi Sheng's words rendered the man speechless, and his face turned ashen. Forget it. Let's go. Shi Sheng turned around and walked away. I don't want to start a massacre here. The man looked gloomily at Shi Sheng's back view as he left. He suddenly turned around and asked, Xin Jiayin, is this what you meant by big boobs but no brains? Xin Jiayin's face turned pale, and she retreated backward. However, the man grabbed her waist in time and pinched her waist. Xin Jiayin shuddered and the man chided with a smile. Your body is in good shape. He dragged Xin Jiayin towards the washroom. The washroom was separate. The man pushed Xin Jiayin in, and went straight to the point. By the time the man was done venting, Xin Jiayin's clothes were almost unrecognizable as they were stained with white filth. The man had no intention of covering up for her at all. He roughly dragged her out of the bathroom. She bumped into In Mo at the bathroom door. Seeing Xin Jiayin's sorry state, In Mo frowned. In Mo, save me. Xin Jiayin suddenly pounced on In Mo. This man was the only one who could save her. In Mo, you better mind your own business. The man pulled Xin Jiayin back and threatened. Xin Jiayin, do you want to die? Still want to run? In Mo, save me. Xin Jiayin looked at In Mo pleadingly. The man tightened his grip on Xin Jiayin's hand. In Mo only glanced at them indifferently, then walked around them and left the vicinity of the washroom. Xin Jiayin's face turned pale instantly. This was her only chance, but he ignored her just like that. The man laughed sinisterly. Xinjiang, you've got guts, haven't you? See how I'll deal with you when we get back tonight. Shisheng cheated by choosing a piece of uncut violet jade for Yao Qin, and asked her to cut it herself. Shengxia, long time no see. Yin Emma walked over from the crowd. Why are you alone? Shisheng glanced at him from the corner of his eyes, his expression arrogant. So what if I'm alone? Is there a rule that says no one can come alone? You're still so sharp-tongued. You speak as if we're very close. How many times have we met? Shisheng sneered. Yin Mo, don't get any ideas about me. Be careful, or I'll kill you. The warmth in Yin Mo's eyes burned like small flames. Only a woman like this was enough. Only a woman like her was worthy of him. From the looks of it, you don't seem to know. Yin Mo leaned toward Shisheng. Yu Jiu is getting married. Yu Jiu was getting married. Get married your head. Shisheng splashed the red wine in his hand on Yin Mo's face. The wine glass fell to the ground with a loud thud. Everyone around them looked over. What was going on? Why was CEO Sheng at odds with Mr. Yin? Yin Mo wiped the red wine off his face nonchalantly. I'll wait for you to come find me. Shisheng sneered. Get lost. Yin Mo's eyes were filled with determination. Shisheng wanted nothing more than to draw his sword and cut him down. Fortunately, Yin Mo knew his limits. He smiled at Shisheng and turned to leave gracefully. Yao Qin ran over from afar. She asked cautiously, Shengxia, what's wrong? Shisheng took a deep breath. His tone was as calm as usual. It's nothing. Are you done? I am done. Yao Qin felt that Shisheng was very scary. His gaze was as cold as a piece of lifeless glass. I'll send you home. Okay. It was really scary. Yao Qin didn't dare to say a word on the way home. When she got out of the car, she hesitated for a long time but didn't say anything in the end. When Shisheng got home, he called Yu Jiu. No one picked up. She took a deep breath. In the end, she couldn't hold it in anymore. She kicked the table beside her, causing it to fall to the ground. This idiot actually didn't pick up her call. She didn't believe that Yu Jiu would marry someone else. But after so long without any news, he was going to die. Shisheng packed a few things and prepared to leave the country. Look for Yu Jiu? Dream on. Did she look like someone who would lose her rationality for a retard? Before leaving the country, Shisheng gave Yin Mo a beating for spouting nonsense. Shisheng went on a vacation alone. When Yu Jiu returned home, he saw the mess on the floor. And the note Shisheng left for him. Are you having fun overseas? Not picking up your call? I'm going overseas to have fun. I'll be back when I'm done. Don't miss me. Don't miss me, miss me. Yu Jiu searched the world for a wife. But the world was so big. Where was Yu Jiu supposed to find someone? In the end, Guyan couldn't stand it anymore, and told him Shisheng's address. Yu Jiu raced against time to rush to the small island Shisheng had brought her to after the college entrance exams. Bang! Bang! Yu Jiu leaned against the wall and panted, waiting for someone to open the door. However, a young lady opened the door and looked at him timidly. Big brother, who are you looking for? It wasn't her. Yu Jiu looked up at the room number. 520. This was the room they had stayed in back then. Idiot over here. Yu Jiu whipped his head around. Seeing the person on his mind, Yu Jiu rushed over and pulled her into his arms. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Don't leave me. Now you know how I feel when I can't find you? Yu Jiu nodded slightly. Shisheng waved at the young lady who was still looking at them curiously, and pulled him into the room. Asterisk, come on a date. Chapter 374. Yu Jiu brought Shisheng to a graveyard. The pitter-patter of rain washed over the steps. Yu Jiu supported Shisheng all the way up until they stopped in front of a tombstone. The tombstone depicted a very amiable old man. She's Luo Sen's granddaughter, Yu Jiu slowly said. I killed her father 3 years ago. Luo Sen was the king of a foreign underground kingdom. When Yu Jiu met him, there wasn't a shocking scene. Yu Jiu's mother's death was a severe blow to him. By the time he left the country, he was already suffering from mental illness. Yu Xingyan had brought him abroad to treat his illness. There was a river outside the hospital. Yu Jiu often avoided the nurses and sneaked to the riverside. That was where he met Luo. Senator Luo Sen often fished there. At first, Yujio simply sat by the side in a daze. Luosun didn't mind the addition of a little fellow. Until one day, Yujio suddenly fell ill and walked towards the river. Luosun's face darkened as he picked him up. Yujio remembered him berating him in fluent Chinese. "Why are you seeking death at such a young age? Your mother didn't give birth to you to die." These words probably touched Yujio, for he stared blankly at him. Luosun later brought him back to his place. There Luosun cooked him a simple meal. After the meal, Luosun sent him back to the hospital. The people there were frantically searching for him. Before they left, Yujio suddenly grabbed Luosun and asked, "Can I still go look for you?" "Of course." Luosun said something to the nurse. From then on, Yujio only needed to tell the nurse once every day to leave the stifling hospital. Yu Xingyun was very busy, so Yujio was basically alone in the hospital. Luosun was like an elder who accompanied him. Yujio went to look for him every day. He would tell Yujio about ancient legends, talk about the happenings in the city, and eat with him. The first time Yujio discovered Luosun's identity was when he was 13. When he went to look for him, he found the room unlocked, so he pushed the door open and entered. In the past, when Luosun wasn't around, Yujio would enter by himself. But this time, he was kidnapped as soon as he entered. He saw Luosun arrive with a few men, and his kidnapper died right in front of him. Yujio wasn't afraid. He felt his blood boiling, as if something was about to break out of its cocoon. His confused life seemed to have found a shining point that fascinated him. For the first time he begged Lawson to take him into that dark place. Luosun had refused at first, but when he realized that Yujio was making contact behind his back, he had no choice but to bring him along. Yujio was certified to have recovered from his illness. He told Yu Xingyun that he wanted to study in another country. Yu Xingyun was busy to begin with, so after trying to persuade him a few times, he let him be. In Lawson's words, this was what he was born to do. Yujio had been by Luosun's side for 5 years. In these 5 years, Luosun valued him even more than his own son. It was only in the end that Yujio realized that Luosun had taken a liking to his abilities from the very beginning. Lawson's son was a good-for-nothing. He ate, drank, and gambled. He was simple-minded and couldn't resist temptation. Lawson couldn't hand over the huge dark kingdom to him. Yujio's appearance gave him hope. He felt that his empire wouldn't be destroyed overnight. That was why he had lured Yujio into his trap, and made him realize that he was different. By the time Yujio returned to the country at the age of 19, Luosun had already been ill for some time. In the following year, he had been tested by Luosun, and tried to assassinate him from all sides. In the end, he inherited the position from Luo Senator as Luosun's only son. He was naturally unwilling, and tried to pull him down time and time again. Yujio had promised Luosun that as long as he didn't go overboard, he would spare his life. But that time, he had overstepped his boundaries. Shisheng quietly listened to Yujio's narration. "Do you hate him? He's the one who brought you into the dark abyss." Yujio shook his head. "I'm probably born this way. He's just my guide." Although Luosun had used him, Yujio had given him a familial love that Yu Xingyun hadn't given him. Yujio smiled at Shisheng. "Luosun's granddaughter ran into some trouble, and came to me for help. He can be considered my master, so I naturally had to help her out." "Do my parents know him?" Shisheng frowned. How could something belonging to his mother end up in this man's hands? "Luosun's wife is your mother's aunt. When she was with Luosun, she severed all ties with her family. Many people thought she was dead." Alright, everything made sense now. The two descended the mountain side by side. The misty rain blurred the tombstones behind them. "When did you start liking me?" Yujio replied softly. "The night you followed Xinjiang." "So you don't like the old Xingxia?" He didn't like the old Xingxia. She loved to cry and didn't know how to fight back when he bullied her. Weak kind, he didn't like any of these. He liked people who could accept his darkness. But when he returned, he found out that she would fight back fiercely. Then, when she followed Xinjiang, he knew that he would definitely fall in love with her. Shisheng and Yujio held their wedding as soon as they returned to the country. The marriage between Glory World Corporation and HK Corporation became the hottest topic after Yang Huiran's incident. On the day of the wedding, even the government sent people to congratulate them. Shengxia, you're actually getting married while I'm still studying. How did your little sweetheart act so quickly? Shisheng tugged at her wedding gown and narcissistically looked at herself in the mirror. For someone as outstanding as me, of course he has to act fast. That makes sense. Yao Qin was dragged into the gutter. She looked at her phone and suddenly cried out, "Ah, it's almost time. Stop looking at yourself." The wedding was held in a church, so there weren't many people present. Shisheng was led into the church by Gu Yan. She wore a pure white wedding gown and petals fluttered in the air. Yu Jiu walked over to the music. The two smiled at each other, their eyes filled with each other's figures. It was as if they were the only ones left in the world. "Mr. Yu Jiu, do you take Miss Xingxia as your wife? Regardless of good times or bad, rich or poor, healthy or sick, happy or sad, will you love her without reservation and be loyal to her forever?" "I do." "Miss Xingxia, do you take Mr. Yu Jiu as his wife? Regardless of good times or bad, happy or sad, will you love him without reservation and be loyal to him forever?" "I do." "I will do my best to build a kingdom of light for you." Cherub. "That's it? Little fairy, that's it. Cherub, you're just brushing us off. Bad review. Little fairy. I'm kneeling before you. I don't want bad reviews. Cherub. Then why don't you write properly? Little fairy, my hand hurts. Shisheng, that's my joke. Don't use it carelessly. Feng Xiai, wife, go home and sleep. Shisheng, my hand hurts. Cherub has gone offline. Chapter 375. Shisheng handed over the information about Shengxia's parents to the government. The government reacted quickly and specially commended Shengshi Group and Shisheng. Shengshi Group developed rapidly in a few years and became a multinational corporation. Since Gu Yan had switched careers to e-commerce, Shisheng hadn't dabbled in that field. Shen Jiayin's company developed well, but with Gu Yan in the way, it couldn't make any waves. In the end, it was acquired by Gu Yan. Times changed rapidly. In the era of the internet, news was no longer blocked. A piece of news could spread all over the world in minutes. President Gu, why did you choose to change your career to e-commerce when the real estate industry was in its golden age? On the screen in the plaza, the host was asking Gu Yan, the leader of the e-commerce industry. Gu Yan was wearing a suit. Time had left almost no trace on his face. He was still as handsome and elegant as ever. He smiled at the camera. Because someone told me that e-commerce would be the world in the future, so I did it. Wow. The host pretended to exaggerate. Who had the foresight to predict the future at that time? You're familiar with this person. Is that so? Who is it? President Gu, tell me quickly. The host asked excitedly. Gu Yan played along and slowly said, the CEO of Shengshi Group, Shengxia. Oh my God, it's really her. How old was President Sheng when you changed your career? How could you believe her? Gu Yan smiled appropriately. Because she's my daughter. Of course I believe her. Oh my God. The host was probably stunned by the news and only reacted after a while. But this time, the interview revolved around Gu Yan, so the host didn't dare to ask too much and quickly changed the topic. The news that the CEO of Shengshi Group was the daughter of Gu Yan, the leader of the e-commerce industry, seemed to have grown wings. It surprised everyone. The gossipy netizens on the internet had already imagined several dramas about the feud between the rich and powerful. It's a pity that these people don't write novels. Shisheng browsed the web. With this imagination, they'll definitely be popular. Yu Jiu had just hung up the phone and glanced at Shisheng's computer. The corner of his mouth twitched. Wife, your imagination is not bad. The latest comment was from his wife's ID. This is to develop their intelligence, Shisheng said seriously. Intelligence needs to be combined with physical strength. Wifey, why don't we do some exercise? Yu Jiu tossed his phone aside and winked at Shisheng. Shisheng couldn't bear to look at her. He looked away and pointed outside. Get out. Don't disturb me. What was this guy thinking all day long? Apart from having sex, was there nothing else to do? Yu-Jio was just about to speak when his phone rang again. Dad. Eat. Oh. I'll ask my wife. Yu-Jio looked over at Shisheng. Wife, Dad wants us to go home for dinner. Do you want to go? Yu Xingyan had asked the two of them to go home for dinner. Shisheng could more or less guess what was going on, but she wasn't sure if Yu-Jio could accept it. On the way home, she wondered if she should warn Yu-Jio. Wife, what are you dawdling for? Yu-Jio opened the car door. Do you want a kiss before you come out? Come, let me kiss you. Shisheng. F***ck. This idiot. When the two of them entered, Gu Yan was already there. He was wearing an apron and cooking with Yu Xingyan helping him. Yu Xingyan washed his hands and came out. He exchanged a glance with Shisheng. For once, he didn't yell at Yu-Jio. Son, come with me to the study. Yu-Jio looked at him in confusion. Seeing the seriousness on his face, he followed him. As soon as the two of them left, Shisheng entered the kitchen. Uncle Gu. Little Xia. Gu Yan smiled, but there was a hint of nervousness in his smile. Don't worry, he'll understand. Shisheng patted Gu Yan on the shoulder. Gu Yan said in a low voice. His mother's death left him with a lot of psychological trauma. I'm afraid he won't be able to accept it. Take your time. She couldn't make decisions for him on this matter. How's the company? Gu Yan changed the topic. Shisheng followed his lead. The government gave us a few projects, but they were too troublesome. I didn't want to accept them, but my subordinates fought to take them on, so I handed them over. Ever since she handed over the information to the government had taken special care of Glory World Corporation. As long as it was related to her company, they had to ask her first. As long as she accepted it, the bidding was just a formality. Those people know your way around, and know that you don't accept just any project you're interested in. But you have to be careful. It's hard to guess what the higher-ups are thinking. Gu Yan reminded Shisheng. Okay. By the time Gu Yan finished cooking, Yu Xingyun and Yu-Jio had come downstairs. Yu-Jio expressionlessly glanced at Gu Yan, then pulled Shisheng away. Little Jio. Gu Yan called out in a hurry. Yu-Jio's footsteps paused. Then he strode away. Yu Xingyan hugged Gu Yan's shoulder and sighed. Yu-Jio stuffed Shisheng into the car and sped off. They sped along the highway before finally stopping at a small county. Yu-Jio. You already knew? Yu-Jio's hand was still on the steering wheel. He stared straight ahead, his profile cold. I bumped into him a few times. Shisheng nodded. Come with me somewhere. Yu-Jio unbuckled his seatbelt and got out of the car. The county was very peaceful. This was Shisheng's first impression when he got out of the car. Yu-Jio walked along the county streets. Shisheng followed behind him, conflicted about what to say. Perhaps because Shisheng was walking too slowly, Yu-Jio stopped to wait for her. When she got closer, he held her hand and continued walking. This is my mother's hometown. Yu-Jio's mother was buried here. Back then, he neglected my mother for the sake of business. Yu-Jio spoke rather slowly, probably because this memory was too heavy for him. During the years I was abroad, he didn't know what it meant to care about others. He only knew how to give me money. But today he told me, this is the first time I've seen him care so much about someone. You must think I don't know, right? If you bumped into him, I'm sure I bumped into him too. And it was at home. They just don't know. Shisheng squeezed his hand. Yu-Jio glanced at him. Sorry, I can't accept them for the time being. Even now, he could still recall the scene of his mother lying in a pool of blood. I know. It was because she knew that she hadn't told him. Yu-Jio brought Shisheng to his mother's grave. She was a very cute woman, and Yu-Jio bore some resemblance to her. Shisheng respectfully bowed. Yu-Jio was astonished to see this. His wife wasn't so impolite to everyone. Although Yu-Jio didn't accept them, he didn't object either. It was only a few years later that Yu-Jio finally accepted the two of them. The end of the 12th world. Thank you to the cherub who tipped me for feeding me tea requesting feeding me tea requesting votes tea requesting monthly votes tea to the power of tea. Chapter 376. Gu Yan had just finished attending a dinner party, and was walking out in a daze when he bumped into Zhao Qian. Zhao Qian? Oh, the woman who ran away with someone else after seeing his company in trouble. He only found out later that Zhao Qian had another man. When she was with him, she was with another man. Zhao Qian was dressed to the nines and had exquisite makeup on. She carried a limited edition bag and looked glamorous. She hooked her arm around the man's arm and looked at him with disdain. Guyan, look at you now. Zhao Qian's sarcastic voice was like a thorn in his heart. Guyan forced himself not to fall. Zhao Qian, I think I treated you well. We've already broken up. Why are you being so aggressive? So many years of feelings were nothing in her eyes. Treated me well? Guyan, how many times have you accompanied me? I asked you to go shopping with me, but all you did was call me. I had to ask you out for a meal a week in advance. Didn't he go shopping with her just to pay the bill? Didn't she just ask him for money to eat with her? Guyan suddenly felt a chill in his heart. He moved his lips but didn't say anything in the end. As a man, he had to have the grace and magnanimity of a man. Can't say anything? Zhao Qian was still speaking arrogantly. No woman will follow a man like you. Now that your lousy company is about to collapse, who would want you in the future? Guyan. It was unknown who called out from behind, but Guyan felt someone hugging his shoulder. That person's hand patted his shoulder vigorously, and said as if they were familiar with each other. Why are you here? I thought I mistook you for someone else. President Yu. The man in Zhao Qian's arms changed his attitude and cautiously reached out his hand. Yu Xingyan casually shook his hand, his attitude a little cold. President Sunday. Is President Gu your friend? The man carefully probed. Yu Xingyan didn't answer, and just patted Gu Yan's shoulder. Do you want a ride? Thank you. No need to be so polite. We're brothers. Yu Xingyan had someone help Gu Yan, and walked towards his car. President Sun chased after him. President Yu, about what I told you last time. We'll talk about it later. It was only after the car had left that Zhao Qian reacted. Chief Sun, who was that man? HK's Yu Xingyun. He just came back recently. What's his relationship with Gu Yan? CEO Sun looked at Zhao Qian. Zhao Qian shook her head. She had never seen this man before. The pressure from the company had left Gu Yan in no mood to think about his breakup. But this encounter with Zhao Qian was the first time he felt so sad. He pulled Yu Xingyan along and drank for a long time. His relationship with Yu Xingyun was even better than that of Sheng Xiao's parents. Back then he didn't know anything. It was Sheng Xiao's parents who introduced him to Yu Xingyun, and he went abroad to learn from him for a period of time. Many years later, things were still the same, but the people had changed. With Yu Xingyun's help, Gu Yan's company quickly improved and gradually got on the right track. For the next year he was very busy. He only met with Yu Xingyun occasionally. Something went wrong on Shi Sheng's 18th birthday. Both he and Yu Xingyun drank a lot of wine, probably because they were happy. He sent Yu Xingyun home, and for some reason, the two of them left in a daze. After the incident, both of them felt awkward and didn't see each other for a long time. Guyan had never thought about being with a man. But ever since that incident, he couldn't help but think of Yu Xingyun from time to time. Yu Xingyun had helped him a lot these past few years and took good care of him. In the end, it was Yu Xingyun who asked him to meet. The two of them sat in a coffee shop, facing each other. It was especially awkward. Guyan. Yu Xingyun sighed. It's already happened. I won't say anything else. I have feelings for you. We can give it a try. Yu Xingyun had been abroad for many years, and was more open-minded about this kind of thing. Ever since Yu Jio's mother passed away, he hadn't found a woman in all these years because he didn't have any feelings for women. After that one time with Gu Yan, he gradually realized that he liked Gu Yan. Gu Yan placed his hands on the table and pursed his lips. Take your time to think about it. There's no rush to give me an answer. The meeting ended quickly. Gu Yan went home and calmly thought about it for a long time. He called Yu Xingyun and rejected him. Yu Xingyun was also very straightforward and didn't pursue the matter. The two of them tacitly suppressed the matter. Gu Yan was invited to attend the charity auction. Meeting Zhao Qian was beyond his expectations. He hadn't heard any news about her in the past few years, so he was a little dazed. Zhao Qian had changed to another man. He was in his 50s and was a big shot in the real estate industry. He heard that Zhao Qian was his mistress. After so many years, Guyan had long put Zhao Qian behind him. So when Zhao Qian came to talk to him, he didn't think much of it and simply exchanged a few pleasantries with her like a man should. I was immature in the past. President Gu, please don't take it to heart. Take this glass of wine as my apology. Zhao Qian's words were much more appropriate and sincere than before. Guyan didn't suspect anything, but he didn't expect Zhao Qian to drug him and bring him to a hotel room. In a flash, he vaguely remembered that he had recently been competing with a company for a piece of land. That company's CEO seemed to be the man Zhao Qian was with. Guyan grabbed Zhao Qian's wrist. Zhao Qian, you disgust me. Zhao Qian smiled carelessly and pushed him onto the bed. Guyan, it's not like we haven't done it before. What are you afraid of? Guyan suppressed the desire in his body, but Zhao Qian still remembered his sensitive spots and skillfully teased him. Just as he was about to lose control, the door was kicked open. He heard Zhao Qian's screams, and the sound of someone being dragged. Bang! The door was slammed shut. Only his heavy breathing could be heard in the room. Guyan! Someone slapped his face. He only had one thought now, and that was to vent. Grabbing the hand that slapped his face, he flipped over and pressed the person under him. The person below didn't resist. Guyan quickly reached the final step. But when he found that he couldn't find the entrance, he became impatient. The next day, he woke up to find someone sleeping next to him. Memories of last night came rushing back. But when he saw who it was, he froze. Yu Xingyun had been awake the whole time. Seeing Guyan staring at him, he propped himself up and slanted at him. Guyan, you slept with me this time. Aren't you going to take responsibility? Guyan lifted the blanket and looked. There seemed to be blood on the sheets. What did he do last night? Guyan rarely smoked, but this time he smoked several cigarettes in a row. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't suppress his heart that was about to jump out of his chest. He slept with his own brother again and again. Was he crazy? Guyan, give it a try with me. Guyan turned to look at the person next to him. His eyes were full of seriousness. The light dyed his wheat-colored skin with a layer of luster. There were still bruises on his body from last night. Guyan seemed to hear his heart, which had been silent for many years, begin to beat again. He thought, let's give it a try. We've already slept together anyway. Anyway, I've already slept with him. Please vote. Chapter 377. This time, the chain mission only had a dozen or so segments. Shisheng suspected that the system didn't have anywhere to distribute them. He returned to the system space and began his daily task of hacking at the screen. The system didn't dare to make a sound. When Shisheng was done hacking, it immediately displayed Shisheng's information. Name, Shisheng morality points. 147,000 health points. 40 contribution points. 30,000 mission grade. B mission rating, 95 hidden mission. Complete hidden mission reward. 2,000 contribution points side mission. Complete side mission reward. 4,000 contribution points item list. Queen's crown. Ghost King's Hearto. Not only did my morality points not decrease, they even increased? What did I do to benefit the people and the country? Yang Huiran and a diamond deposit. The system replied obediently. Shisheng sneered. What happened to Xinjiang and Mo in the end? Xinjiang was locked up for life. Her cheat was used to earn money for the family. As for Mo, he was crippled by Yujio. Shisheng raised his brows. Why didn't she know about this? Mo shouldn't have been so easy to kill, right? Yes, Yujio was very quiet for a period of time. Didn't you notice? The system reminded Shisheng. Shisheng pondered for a moment. Not long after they got married, Yujio had indeed been quiet for a period of time. He didn't tell her dirty jokes or pester her to make babies. During that time, the company was very busy. Seeing that there was nothing wrong with his body, she didn't bother with him. Does host have anything to say now? Say what? What do I have to say to you? I don't communicate with retards. Host, if you continue like this, I'll make sure you can't find Feng Ci. Do you wish to enter the next world? Initializing transmission. The moment Shisheng opened her eyes, she was surrounded by darkness. Her surroundings were quiet, and only the sound of her breathing could be heard. Hiss! Shisheng sucked in a cold breath and looked at her chest. It was pitch black, and she couldn't see anything. The tearing pain almost made her cry out. She reached out to press on it, but the pain made her grimace. This time, she got hurt as soon as she entered. Smack! Her eyes adjusted to the darkness, and she could vaguely see her surroundings. She was in a room, probably from the ancient times. Shisheng took a deep breath, lay down, and began to receive the plot. This was a sadomasochistic love story. The female lead, by Luo, was the eldest daughter of Sword Manor. She secretly ran out of Hidden Sword Manor and met the male lead, Fu Yiyun, and fell in love at first sight. However, the male lead, Fu Yiyun, had a white moonlight in his heart that he could never forget. The female lead began to silently wait for him. In the end, the white moonlight in the male lead's heart courted death, and let the male lead know that he had fallen in love with the female lead. But at this time, the female lead was already deeply hurt, so the male lead began to chase after her. If the female lead changed her mind, the ending would definitely be perfect. The original owner, Wu Zheng, was not the death-seeking white moonlight in the male lead's heart. The pugilistic world was divided into righteous and evil factions, and Wu Zheng definitely belonged to the evil faction. Her master was Granny Yao, an orphan. Medicine Granny was a divine doctor with a rather high reputation in the Jianghu. Wu Zheng, on the other hand, was interested in poison. Because of her seductive looks, many people fancied her beauty. Wu Zheng had no choice but to use poison to protect herself. The pugilistic world, however, spread rumors that she was vicious and merciless, and belonged to the evil faction. She was disliked by the righteous factions, but they also feared her poison skills and did not dare to offend her. At first, Wu Zheng tried to explain, but some people pretended to believe her, and took the opportunity to take her life or her body. After falling for it once, Wu Zheng no longer trusted these self-proclaimed righteous gentlemen of the righteous sect. Her tragedy began when she met the white moonlight in the male lead's heart. She saw that the white moonlight was a girl, so she kindly saved her life. Who knew that the white moonlight would plot to have someone take her body and steal the cold moon sword from her? Wu Zheng naturally chased after the white moonlight, so the white moonlight and the male lead were bound to meet. The white moonlight complained tearfully to the male lead, and the male lead took revenge for the white moonlight without distinguishing right from wrong. Wu Zheng and the male lead met, and she successfully died. Wu Zheng was the first female lead to be killed by the cannon fodder. The plot would definitely not write about what the white moonlight did. It would only write that the white moonlight met the male lead, and was hunted down by Wu Zheng. The original owner's role was to force the two of them to meet, and then contribute to the male lead's success. The original owner was unhappy that she saved the white moonlight, but the white moonlight worked with the male lead to deal with her. The male lead killed her without distinguishing right from wrong, so she wanted revenge. After receiving the plot, Shisheng face-bombed inside. What kind of plot was this? Each one was weirder than the last. The male lead was a scumbag. Before the white moonlight appeared, the male lead had an ambiguous relationship with the female lead. But once the white moonlight appeared, the male lead forgot about the female lead. As expected of a sadomasochistic novel, the male lead scumbag reached new heights, and the white moonlight set a new record. The current plot should be when she had just saved the white moonlight. Oh, right. The white moonlight was called Lu Su. In order to save Lu Su, the original owner was injured. During this time, Lu Su had been trying to gain the original owner's favor and gain her trust. Shisheng sighed. This mission was quite easy to complete. She just needed to heal her injuries and kill the white moonlight. Then she would find a chance to kill the male lead. Sleep first. The next day at dawn the door creaked. Someone entered the room. Shisheng frowned and instantly woke up. However, he did not open his eyes. Miss Wu Zheng. The person called out to her softly. Miss Wu Zheng. Lu Su saw that the person on the bed did not respond. Her gaze fell on her inner side. She bit her lip and finally leaned over. Her hand was halfway there when she suddenly met a pair of calm eyes. There were no ripples in those eyes, as if they were lifeless. Lu Su panicked for a moment. She naturally helped Shisheng pull the blanket and asked in a gentle voice, "Miss Wu Zheng, are you feeling better?" Lu Su was a very beautiful girl. She had delicate eyebrows, a high nose, small and shiny lips. Her hair was tied up in a young girl's bun, and she wore a light yellow gauze dress. Her temperament was as gentle as water. When she smiled, she looked like a spring flower in March. This kind of girl fit the image of a goddess in most men's hearts. Shisheng turned his eyes and said coldly, "Who let you in?" "I was worried about Miss Wu Zheng." Lu Su's face was sincere. "Get out." Shisheng was very calm when he spoke. Lu Su could not tell if he was angry or not. "But Miss Wu Zheng, your injury. Don't make me say it a second time." Shisheng's eyes were cold. "If it wasn't for the fact that I can't move, I would have already cut you." Lu Su bit her lip, feeling wronged. Her voice was as soft as a mosquito. "Then Miss Wu Zheng, rest well. Call me if you need anything." After Lu Su left, Shisheng got up and peeled off his clothes to look. The wound was slightly above his chest. It was just a scratch and did not go in. She could not see it last night, so she did not dare to move. Now that she saw the wound clearly, she removed the messy things and took out a porcelain bottle. She poured out the powder inside and casually smeared it on the wound. Hiss. Shisheng gritted his teeth and quickly covered the wound with the powder. Damn it, it was like pouring wine on the wound. He wanted to kill someone. The gluttonous snake was poisonous. He did not want to write at all. Please vote. Chapter 378. After applying the medicine, Shisheng looked at the sword next to him. Cold Moon Sword. It was ranked 6th on the Jianghu Weapons Leaderboard. It was named Cold Moon Sword because the sword chi it emitted was like a crescent moon. Shisheng examined the sword. It's quite sharp. Other than that, there wasn't much else to recommend it. But because of this sword, the original owner had been hunted down by many people. Jianghu. Killing and robbing. Shisheng's lips slowly curled up. She liked this kind of world. There were no restrictions. Strength spoke for itself. Shisheng threw Cold Moon Sword back into the space. She wasn't used to using it. Lu Su came a few times after that, but she was chased away by Shisheng. She didn't come again. By the time Shisheng was healed and ready to slaughter, Lu Su had already disappeared for 2 days. She was currently at an inn. Shisheng asked the waiter, and found out that Lu Su hadn't appeared in the inn for the past 2 days. Shisheng. So Plot-sama, what are you trying to do? She tolerated killing the male and female leads. You want to cause trouble for killing a supporting female lead? Why don't you go save the Milky Way instead? Shisheng walked out of the inn. Outside was a bustling street. The people coming and going made Shisheng a bit absent-minded. The previous world was still modern. Suddenly, she was in the ancient era. The visual impact was huge. After standing for a while, she slowly walked down the street. Shisheng strolled around for a while. Some things in the ancient era were indeed exquisite, but many things were still lacking compared to modern times. Did you hear? Fu Yiyun and Jiang Zhan are going to fight at Jadewater Village. One is the #1 swordsman of the Jianghu, and the other is a demon of the Jianghu. This is going to be a good show. Shisheng paused and turned to look at the beggars squatting on the side of the street. Jiang Zhan, the leader of the demon sect in the plot, the representative of unpardonable evil. This guy seemed to be the biggest villain in this novel, right? Shisheng frowned. The system didn't block the villain's information this time? Jadewater Village? When? In a month. I heard that Jadewater Village is going to invite people to watch the fight. Unfortunately, our words carry little weight. We can't go. Side mission, turn over a new leaf. The system suddenly popped out. Shisheng's mouth twitched. What was with turning over a new leaf? Or was it a side mission? Lead the demonic cult to turn over a new leaf. Shisheng. Would the devil sect still be the devil sect if they turned over a new leaf? It was more like bringing chaos to the Jianghu. Host, don't have any bad thoughts. Shisheng rolled his eyes. So what if I move? Bite me. I suddenly regret releasing this mission. Master requested to add a recall function. The devil sect had always been the main antagonist in wuxia novels. This place was no exception. 5 years ago, the righteous sects of the martial arts world besieged the devil sect. Although they were not annihilated in one fell swoop, the devil sect suffered heavy losses. The previous sect leader passed away, and Jiang Zhan succeeded him. There were many rumors about Jiang Zhan in the past few years, saying that he killed people like scything flax and treated human life like grass. He was a target that everyone wanted to beat up. The news that Fu Yiyun was going to fight with the demon sect's sect master spread like wildfire throughout the Jianghu. On the official road, a carriage was moving forward at a leisurely pace. The coachman was a middle-aged man who looked rather simple and honest. It was getting late, so the coachman slowed down when he saw the stream. "Miss, it's getting late. Why don't you rest here?" The coachman turned his head and carefully asked inside. "Oh sure." A clear voice came from inside. Hearing this, the coachman drove the carriage to an empty space on the side. Shisheng leaned against the carriage and watched as the coachman busied himself. The male lead was at Jadewater Village, so Lu Su might be there as well. Thus, Shisheng decided to go to Jadewater Village. Most importantly, there would be a good show to watch. Jadewater Village was quite far away. Shisheng had hired a carriage, but they still hadn't arrived even after traveling for half a month. "Miss, why don't I go catch some fish?" The coachman looked at the river in the distance and suggested eagerly. Shisheng didn't comment. The coachman, on the other hand, rolled up his sleeves and walked towards the river. In the past half a month, the coachman knew that this girl didn't usually talk much. If she didn't object, then it meant that she agreed. Shisheng followed behind the coachman and watched him toss and turn in the river. After a long time, he still didn't catch a single fish. The coachman was a bit embarrassed, but Shisheng was standing beside him. He felt that if he didn't catch a single fish, he would be letting his employer down. Shisheng slowly took out his iron sword and casually waved it to the side. The river seemed to be separated by something. With a splash, the water on both sides fiercely rushed towards a tall curtain of water. When the water receded, many fish floated on the surface of the river, which had regained its calm. The coachman was completely drenched. At this moment, he was looking at the river with a shocked expression. Kung Fu could be used like this? He knew that this girl knew Kung Fu. Previously, when they encountered a group of bandits, this girl dealt with them in a few moves. However, he had never seen anyone catch fish like this. "What are you waiting for? If you don't pick them up, they will run away." Shisheng poked the ground with his iron sword. The coachman looked at the river. Sure enough, some fish had already begun to wag their tails and slowly sink into the river. These fish were just stunned, not dead. The two of them couldn't eat much, so he didn't take too much. He only took a few fish nearby. As night fell, the aroma of grilled fish spread far and wide. The coachman often traveled outside, so the carriage was prepared with seasonings. However, it was not as good as those in modern times. Shisheng was a bit picky, so he didn't eat much. The rest was taken care of by the coachman. "Hiya! Hiya!" The sound of horse hooves came from afar. Not long after, a group of men on horses appeared on the side of the official road. When they saw the light, they rushed over on their horses. There were about 20 of them. All of them had strong backs and waists. At first glance, one could tell that they were martial artists. The coachman was a bit nervous. Shisheng looked at the jumping bonfire in front of him indifferently. There was a fish roasting on it. The sizzling sound was very clear in the dark night. "Oh, there's a young lady." The men on the horses dismounted one by one. The two men in the lead walked towards the bonfire. The rest spread out and formed a semicircle. "Go away. Don't get in the way." One of them approached and kicked the coachman. The coachman fell to the side. He didn't even dare to breathe loudly. All he could do was stare at Shisheng. "Young lady, look at you. You're really impatient." As he spoke, the man reached out his hand and wanted to pinch Shisheng's chin. Just as his hand was about to touch Shisheng's chin, Shisheng hit him with the branch in his hand. The branch didn't have much strength. When it hit his wrist, it only made him feel numb. "Young lady, you still have a temper. I like it." After being hit, the man became even more excited. Shisheng glanced at him, stood up, and asked with a faint smile, "What do you like about me?" As soon as she stood up, the man opposite her held his breath. This woman was really beautiful. "I like everything about you." If he could have such a woman under him. That feeling, just thinking about it made him excited. The two men approached Shisheng at the same time. Their faces were full of lewd smiles. "Little beauty, you'll live a good life with me." "Live a good life?" Shisheng's smile deepened. The two men didn't see the murderous look in Shisheng's eyes. They were dazzled by her beauty. "Of course. I'll give you anything you want. Let me touch your little hand. Asterisk, please vote." Chapter 379. The coachman looked at the pile of corpses with sympathy. Was this girl someone who could be molested so casually? He had seen this kind of thing many years ago, so he didn't think there was anything wrong with it. If this girl didn't have the ability, then she would be defiled by this group of people today. Shisheng squatted on the ground and looked at the two people at the bottom. "Do you still like me?" The two people were frightened and shook their heads desperately. "Madam, we have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. Please be magnanimous and spare our lives." "Madam, please spare our lives." Spare our lives. Where did this hag come from? How could she be so powerful? Ah. Shisheng stood up and looked down at them. "If I beg for mercy, will you let me go?" From their angle, they could see the cold light in her eyes. It was like a fire burning in hell, without any temperature but burning their souls. "Do you know who we are? If you dare to touch us, you can't run away." Begging for mercy didn't work, so they started to use their identities. "I don't know, and I don't want to know." Shisheng answered calmly. They didn't seem to hear Shisheng's words and shouted, "We are from the Blood Kill clan. If you dare to touch us, you will offend the entire Blood Kill clan." "Blood Kill clan? What, are you afraid? If you are, let us go. We won't argue with you." Shisheng looked at him as if he was an idiot. "Never heard of it." The scene suddenly became strangely quiet. Never heard of it. She had never heard of it. "Miss, the Blood Kill clan is ruthless and protective." The coachman reminded her in a low voice. "All the more reason to kill them." Shisheng nodded. "If I don't kill them, should I wait for them to go back and call people to kill me? Do they think I am an idiot?" "Bitch, how dare you?" "Why not?" Shisheng raised his hand and stabbed the person at the top. Ah. Screams after screams added a bit of mystery and horror to the silent night. The coachman suppressed the fear in his heart and stood beside the carriage. This girl looked like a god of death at this time. Last time, she only beat up those bandits and did not take their lives. But this time, she really wanted to take their lives. She knew that she was right. If she didn't kill them, they would kill her instead. However, he was just an ordinary person. How could he not be afraid when he saw such a scene? After the Shisheng was sure that everyone was dead, he piled them up again. The stableman trembled all the way. Ah! A short and panicked cry suddenly sounded. The coachman's body went limp and he fell to the ground. Shisheng looked in the direction of the voice. Two figures stood within the reach of the firelight. One was a tall figure, and the other was a petite figure. It should be a woman, and the voice should have come from her. Half of her body was blocked by the people in front of her, only her head was exposed. "You. Why did you kill them?" The woman asked cautiously. "Who said I was the one who killed him?" Shisheng retorted boldly. "Why isn't it you? There's no one else here. Can't they commit suicide in front of me because I'm beautiful? Suicide?" She could see the blood on her sword. How could this person lie through her teeth? The woman was probably frightened by Shisheng, for she didn't say anything. "Let's go." The man's voice was cold. "Big brother Fu, are we not going to do anything?" The woman in front of them was a homicidal maniac. "Those people are from the Blood Kill gang." Shisheng looked in that direction suspiciously. "Big brother Fu Fuyin? Bai Luo?" The Blood Kill gang wasn't a good person. Bai Luo had suffered at their hands before. Now that she saw the beautiful woman standing by the firelight, she knew that she was mistaken. "I'm sorry, big sister. It must be those beasts from the Blood Kill gang who want to harm big sister. I'm sorry." Shisheng watched with interest as Bai Luo apologized. This female lead was so naive and sweet. Her imagination wasn't bad either. Fu Yun probably didn't want to stay any longer and turned to leave. Big brother Fu. Bai Luo anxiously called out. Big sister isn't safe at night. Be careful. No, big sister is so powerful. She should be fine. Goodbye, big sister. Bai Luo's last sentence was whispered, but it wasn't noisy here, so Shisheng easily heard it. Shisheng watched as Bai Luo chased after Fu Yun. Bai Luo had sacrificed a lot for Fu Yun, and almost lost her life in the end. Her personality was a bit soft, but she hadn't gone astray. She was still so naive and sweet. For such a girl to be abused by scum, it was really. The next time they met Fu Yun and Bai Luo, they were in a small forest not far from Jadewater Mountain Villa. Fu Yun and Bai Luo were surrounded. Fu Yun's arm seemed to be injured, so he had to protect Bai Luo and couldn't move freely. Miss, what should we do? The carriage driver looked at the people fighting in front of him, and didn't know whether to continue or stop. Just wait. Was she supposed to go and help them fight? The fight didn't last long. Although the male lead was injured, the law of immortality was still there. In the end, the cannon fodder successfully logged off to get a boxed meal. Bai Luo was so frightened that her limbs turned to jelly. She supported Fu Yun, crying as she moved forward. Shisheng jumped off the carriage and paid the driver. You can go back. The driver didn't understand. Miss. I'll walk ahead myself. Shisheng waved his hand and followed Bai Luo. Bai Luo's speed was really very slow. Shisheng followed behind her, stopping every 3 steps, then every 5 steps. They only arrived at Jadewater Mountain Villa when the sky turned dark. Sir Fu. Monsieur. The people of Jadewater Mountain Villa didn't recognize Bai Luo. Save him. Bai Luo's face was full of tears. When she saw the people of Jadewater Mountain Villa, she swallowed the breath she had been holding and fell to the ground. The people of Jadewater Mountain Villa fell into chaos. Shisheng appeared when they were in a state of chaos. Miss, you are? The steward had people bring Bai Luo and Fu Yun in while sizing up Shisheng. Wu Zheng. The steward frowned. What's there to fight about? In the next second, a figure flashed through his mind. His expression changed slightly as he looked at Shisheng warily. What business does Miss Wu Zheng have at Jadewater Mountain Villa? Wu Zheng. The Wu Zheng who was skilled in poison and wielded the Frostmoon sword. But who would have thought that the rumored vicious and merciless person of the Jianghu would look like this? Unfortunately, no matter how pretty she was still a scum of the Jianghu. To watch Fu Yun and Jiang Zhan fight. Shisheng rolled his eyes at the steward. Isn't that a recent event? Event? What is this woman talking about? Miss Wu Zheng, please return. Jadewater Mountain Villa doesn't welcome you. Jadewater Mountain Villa was a righteous sect, so they naturally didn't welcome scum like Wu Zheng. Shisheng smiled faintly, his voice calm. What if I insist on going in? Then don't blame my Jadewater Mountain Villa for being impolite. Asterisk little fairy. The host is being unreasonable again. Son, hurry and bring your wife back. Fengxiai, I haven't even appeared yet. Little fairy. Trash, climb over the wall. Fengxiai, you think I'm a phone? Climb over the wall just because you want to? Little fairy trash. Shisheng. Draws sword, do you want a ticket? Little fairy, son, I was wrong. Chapter 380. She's a guest. Fu, invite Miss Wu Zheng in. A vigorous male voice came from inside the Jadewater Mountain Villa. Behind the half-open door stood a man. Beside him was a servant carrying a lantern, which made him look tall and straight. Fu turned around. Manor head, she. How could he invite this woman into the villa? How could he invite her into the villa? Invite the guest in. The man interrupted. Yes. Fu bowed and bowed towards the inside. Then he turned around and said stiffly, Miss Wu Zheng, please follow me. The Shisheng smiled meaningfully at the person inside, then followed Fu to the guest room. Once the two left, the servant beside the manor head carefully asked, Manor head, why did you let her in? She's just a little girl. Why are you afraid of her? The manor head countered with a hint of disdain. Rumor has it that she's an expert in poisons, and she also has Frostmoon. Precisely because she has frost moon, the manor head said faintly. The servant didn't dare to reply. Fu Yun's injuries were rather serious, and he'd been poisoned. Bai Luo stood by his side, her face deathly pale. Miss Bai, you should go rest. I'll keep an eye on Sir Fu. Ah Fu couldn't help but remind her. I'm fine. Bai Luo shook her head. Will Big Brother Fu be fine? Sir Fu's poison can only be suppressed for now. The manor head is already thinking of a way, so don't worry, Miss Bai. Bai Luo grabbed Fu Yun's arm. How could she not be worried? There were only a few more days until the duel with that Jiang Zhan. Would Big Brother Fu recover? Ah Fu tried to persuade her, but Bai Luo wouldn't listen. Bai Luo saw sweat on Fu Yun's forehead and touched it. It was frighteningly hot, so she got up and went outside to fetch water. Her footsteps were quick, so the manor's servants weren't surprised to see her. While she was fetching water, a few servants were chatting nearby, and Bai Luo overheard them. She's really that Wu Zheng? She should be. Didn't Steward Fu tell us not to go near that place? If it wasn't her, why would he be so cautious? Why did she come to our manor? We won't be in any danger, right? She said she came to watch Sir Fu and that demon Jiang fight. What are you afraid of? With the manor lord here, what can she do? Exactly. Isn't she Grandma Medi's disciple? Granny Medi is a highly respected senior. How could she teach such a disciple? Grandma Medi's disciple? Bai Luo didn't hear the last word clearly as the words kept circling around in her mind. His father had said that Grandma Yao was a godly doctor, so her disciple should be a godly doctor as well. Bai Luo carried the water and hurried back to her room. She didn't know when the village head had arrived. Next to him stood a man who looked like a doctor, taking Fu Yun's pulse. Bai Luo stood outside the door and didn't enter. She held her breath and listened to the conversation inside. The doctor shook his head vigorously. This old man has never seen the poison that young Master Fu was poisoned with. The doctor packed his things while shaking his head and sighing. This old man heard that Miss Wu Zheng is in the manor. If I can invite her to take a look and find out what kind of poison it is, this old man might have a way. But, in terms of poisons, if Wu Zheng claimed to be second, no one in the pugilistic world would dare to claim to be first. But would this vicious and merciless person come to see it? The doctor sighed. Wu Zheng, that's Grandma Medi's disciple? Bai Luo gritted her teeth and turned to leave. She asked the manor's servants and found out where Fu Yun lived, then hurried over. Ah Fu was afraid that Shi Sheng would harm the manor's people, so he specially arranged a small courtyard for her. Bai Luo looked at the name of the courtyard and knocked on the door. The courtyard door opened with a creak. There's no lock. Bai Luo poked her head inside, but there was no one inside. Miss Wu Zheng? Bai Luo called out. No one answered. She hesitated for a moment, then boldly pushed the door open and entered. Bai Luo had only taken 2 steps when a black shadow flashed in front of her. She retreated in shock, her heart thumping wildly. Shi Sheng had jumped in from outside the courtyard. She was also very surprised to see an additional person in the courtyard, so she sized her up. What's the female lead doing here? Isn't the male lead about to die? Jia, it's you? When Bai Luo saw Shi Sheng's appearance, her eyes flashed with surprise and excitement. Shi Sheng. It was so dark, yet you saw me clearly. Female lead, are you secretly in love with me? What's with that excited look of yours? I'm not a lesbian. How did you get in? Bai Luo blinked, then pointed at the courtyard door and explained in a small voice. I didn't close the door. I didn't close the door? Forget it, that's not important. What are you doing here? Female lead. Why are you wandering around here instead of accompanying your sweetheart? Bai Luo suddenly became nervous. Is this older sister Miss Wu Zheng? She took a deep breath and asked carefully. Jia, are you Medicine Granny's disciple? Shi Sheng sized Bai Luo up strangely, then nodded randomly. You can say that. The original host was, but she wasn't. Bai Luo's eyes sparkled like gems. That's great. Brother Fu was poisoned, but the doctors don't know what kind of poison he was poisoned with. Jia, can you go see what kind of poison he was poisoned with? Towards the end, Bai Luo's tone became pleading. In the end, she hurriedly added, I can pay Jia. Shi Sheng. You want me to treat the male lead? Did you get kicked in the head by a donkey? It's already good enough that I didn't poison him. But how did Fu Yun get poisoned? This didn't seem to be part of the original plot. Why did I mess up the plot again? Jiejie. What do you want? If I can do it, I'll definitely help Jiejie. Bai Luo grew anxious at Shisheng's silence. If I want Fu Yun's life, can you do it? Shisheng rolled his eyes. If you're poisoned, you should find a doctor. Why are you looking for me? The doctor said, he doesn't know what kind of poison it is either. He said that Jiejie might know so. Bai Luo's tears dripped down. Jiejie, what will it take for you to go see Brother Fu? Hey, you're making I sound like a heartless person. Watch your words. Jiejie, I'm begging you. Why should I? Shisheng smiled faintly. Why should I help you? Bai Luo stared blankly at Shisheng, glistening tears still hanging from her long eyelashes. Shisheng's lips curled up slightly, revealing an evil smile. Also, haven't you heard of the rumors in the pugilistic world? Bai Luo stuttered. What? I only know how to kill, not save. The woman opposite her smiled faintly, but Bai Luo didn't see any ripples in her eyes, only calm and tranquil. Her voice kept echoing in Bai Luo's ears. She said, I only know how to kill, not save. Asterisk little fairy. I want a ticket. Shisheng. I don't have a ticket. Do you want a head? Little fairy. My daughter is so violent. What do I do? I'm waiting online, it's urgent. Shisheng. I'm so violent. Aren't you the one who spoiled me? Little fairy. It's my fault again. Chapter 381. Bai Luo didn't remember how she left the courtyard. She only remembered that woman's evil smile, dazzling and flamboyant. She stood outside the courtyard for a long time. There were so many words on the tip of her tongue, but she couldn't say them. That question of hers had completely shut down all of her arguments. She didn't even know her, so why would she help her? Bai Luo left dejectedly. However, as soon as she left, the village had sent someone to invite Shisheng over. The person who was sent was Fu. Lady Wuzheng, what will it take for you to help? Fu immediately asked. What he meant was that she could set any conditions she wanted. Shisheng crossed his legs and sat back in his chair like a loafer. His lips curled into an arrogant smile. Just based on the name Fu Yun, there's no chance. Fu. What's wrong with Fu Yun? Did she have a grudge against young Master Fu? I've never heard anyone mention it in the world of martial artists. Lady Wuzheng. Shisheng waved his hand. Butler Fu, you have to be firm. If I say there's no chance, then there's no chance. Fu suppressed his anger. May I ask, Miss Wuzheng, how has young Master Fu offended you? Shisheng glanced at him. I don't like him. Fu. Fu passed the message back to the Manor Lord word for word. Did she really say that? The Manor Lord looked at Fu with a strange expression. Fu nodded. That's what he said. Fu asked hesitantly. Does Wuzheng have a personal grudge against Master Fu? Probably not. The Manor Lord wasn't sure if they had any personal grudges, but there had never been any rumors of Fu Yun and Wuzheng having a grudge against each other. Then the Manor Lord sneered. It's just an excuse. Manor Lord, I don't understand why you want her to stay in the manor. Fu asked the question that he had been holding back for a long time. A glint flashed across the manor master's eyes. The Cold Moon Sword is in her hands. Cold Moon Sword? That sword. However, he was only ranked 6th. Why did the villa head care so much about him? The Manor Lord naturally wouldn't answer Fu's question. He waved his hand and dismissed Fu. As the male lead, Fu Yun definitely wouldn't die. The very next day, someone discovered what kind of poison he'd been poisoned with. However, knowing what kind of poison it was even more difficult. Only the people of the Devil Sect had this poison. And naturally, only the people of the Devil Sect had the antidote. The demonic sect is breaking the rules. The Wulin heroes who heard the news condemned the demonic sect. Shisheng just so happened to pass by, and with a cheap mouth he added, the duel was between Jiang Zhan and Fu Yun. What does it have to do with the demon cult? Why do you care if someone poisoned them or not? Why don't you care if they have money to spend? Besides, if it's the demonic sex poison, does that mean it's the demonic sex doing? Who are you? Why are you speaking for the demonic cult? Are you a spy of the demonic cult? Hearing this, someone was immediately angry. He turned around and saw the woman standing in the corridor. Her bright face had a mocking smile, and her eyes were calm without any ripples. At a glance, her eyes were bottomless, like a 1,000-year-old cold lake. She was wearing a dark blue dress. Probably for convenience, the hem of the dress was not as cumbersome as other women's. It was very simple, and there were only a few clouds embroidered on it. On the outside was a translucent muslin dress, which made the clothes inside look hazy. Shisheng flipped the hair in front of his chest. We're all from the same roots, so why are we in such a rush to attack each other? If I don't speak for the demonic cult, am I supposed to speak for you? Demoness Wuzheng. This demoness was actually here. They had thought it was just a rumor. What was wrong with the people of Jadewater Village? Why did she let them in? Don't look at me like that. Be careful, I'll. Shisheng waved his hand, and that person's neck shrank back. The expressions of the people beside him also changed. This woman's use of poison had reached perfection. Most of the time, they didn't even know when she had poisoned them. If the original owner didn't have any skills, she would have been killed by these people long ago. It was normal for them to be wary of her. Bai Luo hurriedly entered through the carved archway in the distance. When she saw Shisheng, she was clearly stunned. Perhaps sensing that the atmosphere was a bit off, Bai Luo didn't dare get too close. She stood in the distance and called out, "Seniors, the village lord invites you to the meeting hall." Demoness Wuzheng, we'll let you off this time. This is Jadewater Village. We won't bicker with you. Shisheng. If you have the guts, why don't you bicker with me? What kind of man are you? I'll wait for you to bicker with me. Their expressions were ugly, but they didn't say anything and quickly left. Bai Luo glanced at Shisheng from afar, a complicated look in her eyes. But because of Fu Yiyun, she retracted her gaze and followed the others. Shisheng silently gave them the middle finger. A bunch of cowardly idiots. These people couldn't come to a conclusion even after discussing it. After all, not just anyone could cure the demon sex poison. There was one person in Jadewater Village who could cure it, but she had already made it clear that she was on the demon sex side. There were also some who suspected that she was the one who had poisoned them. Although Bai Luo said that she hadn't appeared when Fu Yiyun was injured, it was still possible that she was in cahoots with the demon sect. However, this was just a thought. Would you dare to confront a woman who could poison you to death at any time? In any case, they didn't dare. Fu Yiyun's condition was worsening by the day, and the appointed time was getting closer and closer. 3 days before the appointed time, Shisheng heard that Fu Yiyun's poison had been cured. Who did it? Shisheng didn't know who did it. But even if the poison was cured, it was still impossible for Fu Yiyun to win against Jiang Zhan in 3 days. Shisheng said that he had already prepared the melon seeds, peanuts, and stools to watch the male lead get abused. Before Shisheng could watch the male lead get abused, the village lord sent someone to invite her over. Miss Wuzheng, the village lord invites you for a chat. Invite me? Shisheng raised his brows. The person respectfully replied, yes. Shisheng continued to ask, just me? Miss Wuzheng, you'll know when you get there. The person tactfully replied, I'm not going. Shisheng rolled his eyes, ignoring the shocked gazes of the servants. He arrogantly knocked on the table and said, if he wants to see me, let him come himself. Am I BBB, that easy to see? That servant had probably never seen such an arrogant guest. She was in someone else's territory, yet she dared to ask the village lord to come see her. Even if she was very powerful, she should at least know what it meant to be a local bully, right? Seeing that the servant wasn't moving, Shisheng directly threw him out. The servant was angry but didn't dare to say anything. He went back to report in confusion. Host is acting cool again. Will you die if you don't act cool? Will you die if you talk properly? Will you die if you do a mission properly? The system guessed that Shisheng was thinking, I'm already giving you face by staying at your village lord's place. You're not coming to pay your respects, but you still dare to put on airs in front of me. Do you want to get beaten up? Host, let me tell you, this kind of thinking is very dangerous. You'll get beaten up by a crowd. Hashtag my host is getting more and more arrogant. She's always thinking that conquering the universe isn't a problem. What should I do? Asterisk system. Host, what's your secret to acting cool? Shisheng. Because she's my biological daughter. System. So I'm not your biological daughter? Shisheng. Disdainful face. Chapter 382. Although the village head was a bit angry after hearing the report, he suppressed it and brought his men to Shisheng's courtyard. Shisheng sized him up from head to toe. Why did you have to make things difficult for me? You didn't even try to make me carry your shoes. Sit anywhere. Village lord. Wasn't this his house? Taking a deep breath, the village lord acted like a host. Miss Wuzheng, are you used to living here? It's all right. If there's anything you're not used to, you can tell me. I'll get someone to arrange it for you. Okay. No matter what the village lord said, Shisheng would reply with words like it's all right, okay, or oh. The village lord chatted for a while but couldn't continue the conversation. After a few seconds of silence he asked, Miss Wuzheng, have you eaten? Shisheng raised his eyes slightly and looked straight at the village lord. His gaze was a little strange, as if he was looking at a rare object. The village lord didn't know why, but he felt a chill run down his spine from the bottom of his feet to his head. This feeling only lasted for a moment. When he looked over again, the woman opposite him had already lowered her eyelashes and looked indifferent. No. It must have been an illusion just now. The village lord comforted himself in his heart. If Miss Wuzheng doesn't mind, how about I have a drink with you? Shisheng raised his head again with a teasing smile. Village lord, I'm just a girl. You want me to drink? What are you trying to do? Village lord. Who doesn't drink in the pugilistic world? I'm just kidding. It's a blessing to be able to drink with you. It's a blessing you've accumulated over several lifetimes. The village head ordered the servants to prepare the meal, while he chatted with Shisheng on and off. Shisheng would occasionally reply in an arrogant and rude manner, but the village lord didn't show any dissatisfaction. This was interesting. The dishes were served quickly. Shisheng glanced over and didn't see anything wrong. Miss Wuzheng, try it and see if you like it. If you don't like it, why did you ask someone to remake it for me? Village lord. Don't you know basic manners? He endured it. The food was actually not bad. At least, it was much better than what Shisheng ate in the wild. Shisheng didn't stop eating. She accepted the toast from the manor head. After drinking a few glasses of wine, his stomach felt like it was on fire, and he felt a little uncomfortable. However, her expression did not change at all. Towards the end, the manor lord could not hold on any longer, but the person opposite him was still as calm as ever. Sir, it's getting late. I won't be drinking with you. Shisheng asked him to leave. Oh, all right then, Miss Wuzheng, rest well. The manor lord spoke with a loose tongue and waved his hand in the air. The people behind him immediately came forward to help him leave. Shisheng sat there for a while. In a world with internal energy, there was no spiritual energy. She couldn't cheat with her spiritual energy, so she could only force herself to drink. Fortunately, this body's alcohol tolerance was not bad. The manor lord walked some distance away from the small courtyard. He brushed away the people who were supporting him and walked forward with a gloomy expression. Wuzheng was the ancestor of all poisons, so he naturally did not dare to poison her. He did not expect a girl like her to be so good at drinking. Manor lord. Fu called out apprehensively. He had a feeling that Wuzheng had already discovered what they were trying to do. Go investigate her weaknesses. The manor lord's expression darkened. Fu respectfully replied. Wuzheng used to be an orphan and was taken in as a disciple by Medicine Granny. Now that Medicine Granny is dead, she's all alone. I've never heard of her having an intimate relationship with anyone. Towards the end, Fu's voice grew weaker. The manor lord sneered and said firmly, Everyone has weaknesses. Yes. As the group gradually walked away, Shisheng walked out from the shadows. He casually patted off the dust on his skirt as he stared in the direction they had disappeared. What does this manor lord want from me? Before Shisheng could figure out what the manor lord wanted, it was time for Jiang Zhan and Fu Yun's duel. The venue was at the peak of the mountain behind Jade Water Manor. This was the place where Jade Water Manor's disciples practiced their martial arts, but it had been temporarily changed to a duel venue. Shisheng chose a seat near the back, occupying several chairs by himself. The others were angry, but they did not dare to voice their anger and kept their distance from him. Fu Yun sat in the front row looking fine. Bai Luo was nervously grabbing him and talking to him. Shisheng, the so-called sect master of the demon sect, was nowhere to be seen. Shisheng was a bit worried. There was no spiritual energy in this world, nor were there any hidden missions. So the conclusion was that Feng Xiai wasn't here? She remembered that the villain in that Xianxia world wasn't Feng Xiai. She could confirm it in that world, but she couldn't confirm it in this world. She felt like the system was doing this on purpose. When Jiang Zhan still didn't show up, Shisheng thought he was showing off. It wasn't until noon that Shisheng saw a figure appear on the path leading up the mountain. That's Jiang Zhan? Black robes, scarlet heaven sword. It should be him. Why does he look like this? Shisheng. So none of you know him? What the F***ck? Jiang Zhan's appearance was not like those in novels where young women carried palanquins and scattered flower petals as they descended from the sky. Instead, he climbed up from the foot of the mountain. He was wearing a black robe, his hair a mess, and he held a blood-red sword in his hand. Jiang Zhan's hair stood on end when he saw him, and the blood-red sword slashed through the air. Who dug a hole at the foot of the mountain? What's the meaning of your righteous sect? Jiang Zhan's appearance leaned towards femininity. His eyebrows were delicate like a woman's, but he was extremely good-looking and didn't look feminine. He was wearing a black robe, but it had an elegant effect. When he moved, the hem of his robe fluttered in the wind. If the voice didn't belong to a man, people would probably think it was a woman. Everyone was stunned by Jiang Zhan's question, and even ignored his appearance. How could there be a hole at the foot of the mountain? And you, the head of the devil sect, why didn't you fly up instead of showing off? Why did you climb up so graciously? Sect leader Jiang, we don't have a hole at the foot of the mountain. The manor lord stood up. That's a trap to prevent wild beasts. Why did you step into it? Digging a trap at the foot of the mountain? Is there something wrong with your brain? Jiang Zhan continued to stand on end. What are you looking at? What are you looking at? Have you never seen a man as good-looking as I? Indeed, they had never seen a man who looked like a woman. And he even fell into a hole. The crowd. How could this sect leader be so immoral? Actually, this was the first time they had seen Jiang Zhan. Ever since the devil sect was damaged last time, the new sect leader Jiang Zhan hadn't appeared in front of people. They had only heard various versions of rumors about him. Shisheng also felt that there was something wrong with this sect leader's style. Where the hell did this lunatic come from? What happened to the high and mighty red-robed sect leader, who was so awesome that he could fly to the heavens? He was simply an embarrassment to the devil sect. In any case, he should at least bring a few people to show off. Shisheng had just thought this when he heard a few panting cries from the foot of the mountain. Sect leader, why are you walking so fast? Io, which idiot built this road? It's so hard to climb. 4 figures appeared in everyone's line of sight. One of them was even hugging an animal that looked like a puppy. That person moved to Jiang Zhan's side. Sect leader, do you still want this puppy? The crowd. Little fairy. Sect leader, do you still want your dog? Jiang Zhan, I want a white tiger. What's the meaning of giving I a puppy? Little fairy. We don't have enough funds. Jiang Zhan, come guests vote. It was a reward. Chapter 383. Sect Master, I didn't expect you to be this kind of sect master. What's with the puppy? This sect master is really... Shisheng couldn't hold back his laughter. The entire hall was silent, and only her laughter could be heard, making it very abrupt. Everyone looked at Shisheng strangely. Sect Master Jiang glared angrily at her, but with that face of his, he looked a bit like a furious beauty. Wu Zheng, what are you laughing at? Shisheng's laughter came to an abrupt halt. Did the original owner know this crazy villain? Sheng did his best to search through the original owner's memories. It seems, probably, they didn't know each other, right? Jiang Zhan walked aggressively in Sheng's direction. As he walked, his sleeves fluttered, and the bell hanging from Scarlet Heaven let out a clear ringing sound. Sheng was still sitting on the chair, one leg propped up on the chair next to him. His hand rested on his knee as he shook his leg like a loafer. She watched as Jiang Zhan approached. Just as she was wondering what was going on, the sword in his hand came slashing at her. Sheng leaped into the air and landed on the ground next to him. Scarlet Heaven smashed the chair she had been sitting on into pieces. F***ck, are you crazy? Sheng was enraged by the sudden attack. Don't even know you, but you're attacking me? What's the meaning of this? That's right, I have a problem. Didn't you diagnose me long ago? What the hell? Speak human language, F***ck. Jiang Zhan raised his Scarlet Heaven and charged forward again. Sheng took out his iron sword to meet the attack. You want to fight? Won't beat you to death. The crowd. Wasn't it supposed to be Jiang Zhan and Fuyin? How did it become Jiang Zhan and Wu Zheng? Isn't Wu Zheng using Cold Moon? What's that sword of hers? Why haven't I seen it before? Even Scarlet Heaven is being suppressed. Everyone was stunned by Sheng's iron sword. Scarlet Heaven was the #1 weapon in the martial arts world. But now, the Scarlet Heaven sword that was ranked first was actually being suppressed by an ordinary-looking iron sword. Did Sect Master Jiang Zhan not use Scarlet Heaven's power? No. Quite a number of veterans in the area could tell that Jiang Zhan's chi was great, and he could bring out at least 90% of Scarlet Heaven's might. He was even better at using it than the previous Sect Master, but his sword technique was average. However, this couldn't cause Scarlet Heaven's sword to be completely suppressed. So, the truth was that the sword he had never seen before was more powerful than the Scarlet Heaven sword? Clang! The two swords collided, sparks flew in all directions, and an ear-piercing sound lingered for a long time. Sheng flipped his wrist downward and flicked it upward, knocking away Jiang Zhan's red cloud sword. Then his body suddenly leaned forward, and the iron sword directly pierced Jiang Zhan's chest. As soon as the iron sword sank into his skin, the Sheng felt that it couldn't move anymore. It was as if there was an iron wall in front of him. The host attempted to murder a mission-related character. The punishment will be delivered within 24 hours. Please take note. What the hell? Say it again if you dare. The host attempted to murder a mission-related character. The punishment will be delivered within 24 hours. Please take note. The system repeated itself fearlessly. Punishment? Deliver within 24 hours? You even need to check? Do you think you're a delivery company? Does your master know that you're messing with the settings? He knows. No matter how much Sheng scolded, the system pretended to be dead and didn't say anything. After Sheng was done scolding, he finally looked at the person opposite him. Jiang Zhan felt a thick murderous aura wrap around him, as if it could materialize and pierce into his body. However, the murderous aura quickly receded like the tide. The iron sword pressed against his chest exerted force, and he stepped back. Strangely, the iron sword didn't continue to sink into his body. Sheng. System F***ck your grandpa. Sheng was so angry that he pulled out the iron sword and slashed it at Jiang Zhan. Wu Zheng. Ow. Jiang Zhan stomped his feet. You crazy woman, stop. What are you guys looking at? Stop her. The onlookers. We didn't see anything. We didn't see anything. Sheng was happily slapping. Who told you to have the newbie protection setting? Who told you to collude with that retarded system? Who told you to /I? Jiang Zhan yelled for people to stop Sheng, but no one listened to him. Even the people he brought with him stood far away, afraid that Sheng would hit them too. Wu Zheng, that's enough. Jiang Zhan was so angry that he suddenly reached out to grab the iron sword. The iron sword fell at a very fast speed. If a normal person tried to grab it, half of their palm would be cut off. However, Jiang Zhan grabbed the iron sword steadily. Blood seeped out of his pale palm and dripped down. The place where Jiang Zhan was holding was already dyed red with blood. The color was brighter than fresh blood, and there was a faint red glow. Sheng's eyes darkened. She pulled out the iron sword. The iron sword buzzed. Shisheng pressed the iron sword down and put it back into the system before anyone could see clearly. It was so rare to meet someone who was born on a day, month, and hour. Jiang Zhan looked at his own hand. There was a very deep wound, and his flesh was exposed. It was extremely hideous. Just now he felt the blood in his body flowing out quickly. He raised his head to look at the person opposite him. Shisheng crossed his arms and looked at him with a mocking expression. Wu Zhengyu. If you dare say another word, I'll kill you. Shisheng interrupted him. He was clearly threatening him, but his eyes were calm. No one could understand what he meant. The iron sword couldn't touch the blood of someone who was born on a day, month, and hour. Otherwise, the consequences would be severe. Shisheng didn't know the reason either, but it couldn't. I'll let you go this time. If you dare to do it again, I'll cripple you. Shisheng glared fiercely at Jiang Zhan. God damn it. The male and female leads were protected by the heavens, while the villains were protected by the system. It was her. One person. Fighting alone. This was intolerable. This psychopath definitely wasn't Feng Xi. Shisheng snorted, then turned to find a chair and sat down, ignoring the stunned crowd and Jiang Zhan's reactions. She needed to calm down right now. Only then did the village head stand up. Sect Master Jiang, do you still want to continue the competition? Jiang Zhan took out a cloth from somewhere and wrapped it around his hand. He snorted angrily. Of course, why wouldn't I? Sect Master Jiang, do you want to rest? Jiang Zhan pointed Scarlet Heaven's sword and roared. Are you looking down on me? Let's compete now. Village head. Was he wrong to make the competition fair? Truly a dog-biting Lu Dongbin, not knowing how to appreciate others' kindness. Sir Fu, Sect Master Jiang, please. Jiang Zhan swaggered to the center of the competition grounds. Fu Yun stood up. Bai Luo grabbed his hand and warned, Big brother Fu, be careful. Fu Yun patted her head. It's fine. The sword in Fu Yun's hand was called Meteor Sword. It was ranked third, but Fu Yun had the title of #1 swordsman. It was clear that his swordsmanship was exceptional. Jiang Zhan had lost some of his stamina and internal energy to Shisheng, while Fu Yun had been poisoned and couldn't recover even after 3 days. The two of them were evenly matched. It was just that no one knew who would win. Asterisk recommending Jiomei's Quick Transmissions. Villain, don't tease me. The style was fresh and strange. The style was fresh and strange. The style was fresh and strange. Not taking the usual path, but a different quick transmissions. If you want to see all kinds of strange things, please look for Little Fairy's tweets. Chapter 384. Jiang Zhan's swordsmanship wasn't very good, but he relied on his abundant inner energy. Shisheng narrowed his eyes as he watched the two fight. Jiang Zhan seemed to have studied Fu Yun's swordsmanship and could easily counter his moves. Fu Yun couldn't do the same, but he still had the upper hand. Their movements were so fast that they were barely visible. All that could be seen were white and black figures intersecting, staggered, and then intersecting again. Clang. Bang! Jiang Zhan's body flew through the air before crashing to the ground, Scarlet Heaven beside him. Good. The people below immediately burst into applause. Jiang Zhan picked up Scarlet Heaven and pushed himself up from the ground, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. Thank you for letting me win. Fu Yun looked at Jiang Zhan indifferently. Jiang Zhan wiped his mouth and stubbornly said, I was only letting you win today. Kill him, young Master Fu, kill this demon. Someone shouted from below. This sentence was like a stone thrown into a calm lake, causing ripples that eventually turned into turbulent waves. Eliminate evil and protect the Tao. 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 With Jiang Zhan dead, the demon sect was like a sheet of loose sand. Taking advantage of someone's precarious position? Is this how you righteous sects do things? Today, I, Jiang Zhan, have experienced it. When Jiang Zhan's face was cold, he still had some momentum. But if one looked closely at his face, they would feel like he was forcing himself to hold it together. What's there to talk about with the demon sect? Young Master Fu, kill him. Young Master Fu, hurry and do it. Let him do it, so why aren't you doing it? Afraid of retaliation? Shisheng's voice wasn't very loud, but it pierced through the air and landed in everyone's ears. Someone automatically gave up their seat, revealing Shisheng, who was sitting at the back. She had one foot on the chair in front of her, and her arms crossed. Her chin was slightly raised, her expression full of arrogance and mockery. The scene fell into an eerie silence. Shisheng was right. They didn't dare to make a move. The demon sect wasn't to be trifled with. They didn't care about gratitude and grudges. They only cared about how quickly they could get their revenge. If he really killed Jiang Zhan, his family might be in trouble soon. Jiang Zhan looked at Shisheng with a complicated expression. She looked like she wanted to kill him just now. Why was she speaking up for him now? Shisheng stood up slowly and said, "In the end, what's the difference between you two? You're just making your words sound more beautiful, and then you'll be acknowledged by others. The things you've done, in other words, are not just as despicable. Don't pretend to be a chaste woman. We're all the same after we take off our clothes. Is it really okay for a girl like you to speak so harshly? Wu Zheng, what nonsense are you spouting?" Someone angrily berated her. "Wu Zheng, you want to ally yourself with the demon sect? Wu Zheng, you are Granny Yao's disciple. Do you think you are worthy of her spirit in heaven?" One hat after another was placed on Shisheng's head. Shisheng pulled up the corners of his mouth and smiled faintly. At that moment, it was as if thousands of flowers had bloomed. They were colorful and carried a strong fragrance that directly attacked one's heart. But in the next second, the flowers quickly withered. They could only see a demon emerging from the darkness, baring his sharp fangs and ready to pounce on them at any moment. The woman opposite them spoke in an extremely calm voice. "If you're not convinced, you can come and talk to me about life. I'll teach you how to be a new person for free." Her words were not calm at all. They were full of provocation and arrogance. She put down her arm. Just as everyone thought she was going to do something, she slowly turned around and walked down the mountain. The 4 disciples of the demonic sect who were blocking the mountain path immediately moved aside when she came over. What a joke. This woman even dared to hit their sect leader. They couldn't afford to offend her. They were afraid of death. Only when Shisheng's figure disappeared from their sight did they come back to their senses. Why is this Wu Zheng so strange? The punishment the system mentioned wasn't actually that scary. It was just being unable to move for 3 hours. Shisheng had long been on guard against the system. When he returned, he locked himself in his room and stuck a talisman on himself. Who could do anything to him? Fighting with System, you're still too inexperienced. In the end, Jiang Zhan still fought with them. It was said that Jiang Zhan was heavily injured in the end, and was rescued by the demon sect's reinforcements. Fu Yun was also injured. At this moment, Shisheng was standing at the foot of a mountain, looking up at the lush greenery in front of him. Motherfucker, why do these people have to be so pretentious and live in the mountains? It's not like this is a cultivation world where spiritual energy is better. There's something wrong with them. Shisheng followed the winding mountain path up the mountain. If it wasn't mud, then it was crushed rocks. Just how poor is this demon sect? They don't even build roads. When she was halfway up the mountain, she saw thatched huts that looked like a refugee camp. Children were chasing chickens and ducks all over the place, while women were planting vegetables nearby. Did she go to the wrong place? Hashtag the demon sect is so poor. Hashtag this demon sect style is so weird. Hashtag the demon sect sounded so high and mighty, but they were actually just a bunch of refugees who had been ostracized by the Jianghu. Which Wu Zheng is here? Oh, looks like they all know me. I didn't expect the original owner to be so famous. The refugee camp was filled with shouts, followed by chaos. The children and women were escorted into the huts, leaving behind only the young and strong ones. Shisheng, I already crawled into your nest, but you didn't even notice. What the F***? Shisheng swaggered in. There was chicken and duck feces all over the ground. Shisheng had to jump around to avoid them. He couldn't even pretend to be pretentious in this place. The demon sect members opposite him shouted at Shisheng. Which Wu Zheng, what are you doing here? Shisheng said with a straight face. I'm here to lead you all to riches. The demon sect members. What the hell? Riches? Didn't this witch only know how to use poison? How did she know such a high-level skill? Shisheng realized that the demon sect members all seemed to know her. But the original owner didn't have any impression of this. Did she lose her memory? The plot only mentioned things related to the male and female leads. Other than her memories, there was nothing else related to the original owner. Shisheng didn't know what was going on, so he could only ignore it for now. She used violence to snatch the position of the demon sect's leader. Oh right. Jiang Zhan was injured and was in seclusion. That was why her snatching the position of the demon sect's leader went so smoothly. Probably because the people who followed Jiang Zhan to Jadewater Mountain Villa told them about her great achievements. The demon sect members rebelled and changed sides. Who dared to disobey violence? If not, please refer to the side. More than 10 men were planting vegetables in the field. There were even people standing guard nearby. The sect leader won't let you off when he comes out. You're actually helping that witch Wu Zheng. The sect leader raised you for nothing. These people cursed as they planted vegetables. Ting Feng, the supervisor squatting next to them, advised, hurry up and plant. If you don't finish by nightfall, you won't have anything to eat. Fuck, she's skimping on our food again. Ting Feng coughed. You can eat after you're done. Bullshit. She didn't even give us dinner after we finished planting yesterday. One of the men raged. Didn't she leave you some steamed buns? How can one steamed bun be enough for so much work? Does she think we're women? Not only did they have to plant vegetables, they also had to pick up feces. Why hasn't the sect leader come out yet? Sect leader, we won't complain about you being a busybody anymore. Hurry up and come out. Ting Feng looked at them speechless. #hashtag is the demon sect style weird today? #hashtag how poor is the demon sect? Hashtag. Chapter 385. Only now did Shisheng realize how poor the demon sect was. They only had 10 taels of liquid capital. 10 taels. In a rich family, 10 taels was not even enough to buy a piece of jewelry. The demon sect produced and sold everything they ate. Didn't they say that the demon sect had businesses all over the world, and was as rich as a country? Such a cowardly demon sect was really. This was the first time she saw it. What was her mission again? To lead the demon sect to turn over a new leaf. What was there to change about this stupid demon sect? That was what the left guardian Ting Feng told her. Sect leader, you have to understand that most of the people in our sect are illiterate. It's better for us to kill people than to do business. That was what the right guardian Guyu told her. Money? Vulgar. Flips table *. How can you live without vulgar things? Bring a few people with you and follow me down the mountain. Shisheng facebombed. Those who are skilled in martial arts. These two guardians of the demon sect were also weirdos. Ting Feng was in charge of all the affairs of the demon sect. What about Guyu? Guyu was in charge of being as beautiful as a flower. Guyu was a man. Ting Feng was also a man. They were not having an affair. Shisheng saw Guyu standing on the thatched cottage where the sect leader lived. According to the sect members, he was absorbing the essence of the sun and the moon. Are you trying to become a demon? Does your former sect leader know that you're so Chinibyu? Shisheng decided not to bring Guyu down the mountain. Guyu seemed to have the same idea. He stood on the thatched roof and looked at Shisheng as if he was an otherworldly expert. Does he really not have cat biscuits? Shisheng tilted his head and asked Ting Feng. Ting Feng's mouth twitched. Guyu's thinking is different from ours. Shisheng glanced back. Guyu was still standing on the roof, but the tree blocked his face. He's about to become a demon. Of course he's different. Ting Feng coughed. Sect leader, why are we going down the mountain? To become rich. Shisheng suddenly lost his balance. Fortunately, there was a tree next to him. He reached out to hold on to the tree trunk and steadied himself. Facing the sect members' strange gazes, Shisheng said calmly, if you want to become rich, you must first build roads. When we come back, you'll build roads. The sect members. It had been almost a month since Jiang Zhan and Fu Yun's match. There were two things that people were talking about. The first one was the iron sword in Shishang's hand. It was able to suppress the red cloud sword, and the iron sword had become the #1 weapon in Jianghu. They all tried to find out where the sword came from. The second thing was that Jiang Zhan and Fu Yun had written all sorts of stories about them. But they all had one thing in common. Jiang Zhan, the previous devil cult master, had been degraded to the point that he was worthless. There were even people who used his appearance as an excuse. Only now did Shishang realize that the name of the devil sect did not come from nothing. The people in the demonic sect were not as silly and sweet as she thought. It started because two people said that Jiang Zhan was like a woman and insulted him verbally. They even dragged the entire devil sect into it. The disciples she brought with her did not care about her opinion at all. They followed the two of them all the way and blocked them in a deserted alley. Shishang had a strange feeling as he watched them deal with the corpses. He didn't know if they were being scolded for Jiang Zhan or for himself. What happened next was even scarier. The devil sect seemed to have turned on their killing mode and started fighting at the slightest disagreement. It was completely different from the scene on the mountain, where people would fight for a steamed bun for a long time. #This devil sect is poisonous. Shishang stopped them from fighting. If this went on, she wouldn't be able to do anything else. Shishang had them wait at the inn while he went out for a walk. For several days, the devil sect disciples were almost moldy. Only then did Shishang take them out on a dark and windy night. "Sect master, where are we going?" "It's a dark and windy night. Who are we going to kill, sect master?" "Grow up a little." Shishang glared at them, exasperated. "You only know how to kill people all day long. The people we kill are people who deserve to be killed." One of the disciples was unconvinced. Shishang rolled his eyes inwardly. "Do you still think you're a messenger of justice? That's your enemy's line, okay? What's the point of saying it out loud? Our sect's doctrine is to punish evil and eliminate evil." The disciples were unconvinced and brought up their doctrine. "What's that?" Shishang was astonished. Since when did the devil sect have a doctrine? Why didn't she see it? Punish evil and eliminate evil? Why don't you save the people of the world? Ahem, this is from a long time ago, Ting Feng explained weakly. The first sect master of the devil sect left it behind. The first sect master? Why did he leave behind such a doctrine? Ting Feng continued to explain to Shishang. The first sect master wanted to be a hero, but before he could punish evil and eliminate evil, he was framed. Shishang was speechless at this story. He wanted to be a good person, but he was forced to be a bad person. "Stop. We'll talk about the doctrine when we get back. Let's get to work now." Shishang interrupted Ting Feng and pointed at the courtyard in front. "What are we doing, sect master?" The disciples were confused. "We're making a fortune. Where would she get the money if she didn't rob?" The disciples were speechless. They thought Shishang was joking, but it turned out that they were overthinking things. She was serious. She really did rob that family. The family that was robbed was a notorious bully in the city. Shishang chose him because he was rich. Even if he killed them, no self-proclaimed righteous people would come looking for trouble. After all, everyone wanted a bully dead. It had to be said that this bully who preyed on the common people had a lot of money. Shishang only asked them to carry the gold, and didn't ask for anything else. After leaving the residence, one of the disciples asked in confusion, "Sect master, why didn't we kill them?" "Why would we kill them?" Shishang tossed the gold and paused. "We'll come back to rob them next time." The disciples were stunned. "Sect master, isn't that a bad idea? This money belongs to the common people." Ting Feng was hesitant. Shishang's mouth twitched. He slapped Ting Feng's shoulder. "Come, tell me, what sect do we belong to?" "The devil sect." Shishang's eyes curved. "Do you have any other questions? We're from the devil sect, not bandits." "Yeah, bandits don't sound good." Ting Feng. There was no way to communicate with sect master. Shishang chased the others back to work on the road, leaving Ting Feng to follow him. The next day, news of the bully being robbed spread, and the bully even reported it to the authorities. However, it was useless. What useful information could those useless officials find? The common people, on the other hand, were very happy and praised them for doing a good job. Shisheng swaggered around the city. Ting Feng didn't know what Shisheng wanted to do, so he could only follow behind. On the third day, Shisheng found the male and female leads. The two of them were staying at an inn. He didn't know if the male lead would meet his white moonlight here again if the plot had changed. Sect Master, why are we following Fu Yun? Are you going to kill him? Ting Feng didn't understand. Why would I kill him? I had to be able to kill him first. Ting Feng guessed, Sect Master, do you have a crush on him? Shisheng glanced at Ting Feng. I'd rather have a crush on a pig than him. Ting Feng. Then why are you following him? Feng Ci. I've turned into a pig. Shisheng. I'm openly in love with you. Little fairy, dog abuse, drag him out and torture him. Shisheng. Drawing sword. What are you talking about? Little fairy. Nothing, I'm just asking for a ticket. Thank you to the cherub who tipped me. Chapter 386. Even after Fu Yun and Bai Luo left, Lu Su didn't appear. Since she wasn't with Lu Su, the plot should have changed a lot. Shisheng didn't know when they would meet again, so he decided to go back and fix the road first. On the way back to the demon sect, they had to pass by a small town. Shisheng didn't plan on stopping, but he heard a familiar voice. Sect Master, Left Protector. Shisheng was forced to stop. That person ran out of the town's entrance. Why are you still here? Ting Feng asked with a frown. They had been delayed for so many days. These people should have returned to the demon sect long ago. That person looked a bit guilty. Zhou saved a girl, so we were delayed here. Shisheng's heart skipped a beat. He had a bad feeling about this. What's the name of the girl you saved? Lu Su. She's quite pretty. I knew it. Plot Sama wouldn't let me off. Go call her out. If Zhou doesn't want to leave, tell him he doesn't need to return to the demon sect anymore, Shisheng instructed. That girl. Shisheng stared at him with a faint smile. You can stay with us. That person shook his head and ran inside. Soon several people came out pulling carriages. There were 3 carriages in total, one more than before. Zhou was a somewhat handsome young man. He sat in the last carriage. When he saw Shisheng, he immediately jumped down. Sect Master. Shisheng looked towards the 3rd carriage. A pair of fair hands slowly lifted the curtains, revealing a pretty face. She cautiously glanced in Shisheng's direction. When she saw Shisheng, her eyes lit up and she put on a pleasantly surprised expression. Miss Wuzheng, why are you here? Lu Su's eyes were filled with curiosity. Just now these people called her Sect Master. What sect's Sect Master? From what she knew, she had always been alone. How did she suddenly become a Sect Master in such a short time? Shisheng ignored her and looked down at Zhou, who was standing in front of the horse. Zhou hurriedly said, Sect Master, Miss Lu is alone and injured. She looks quite pitiful. Can you let her come back with us? No. Shisheng refused without any hesitation. Sect Master. Zhou's expression changed slightly. I will take good care of her. I won't cause you any trouble. No. Shisheng continued to refuse. Big brother Zhou, forget it. Miss Wuzheng probably doesn't like me. Lu Su bit her lips and said softly. Her aggrieved expression and pitiful eyes made the other disciples beside her slightly moved. Shisheng smiled maliciously. Lu Su, why are you acting pitiful in front of me? Do you think I'm like these men? Can't you take a step after seeing a little beauty? Lu Su looked as if she had been humiliated. Her face turned pale and her body trembled. Miss Wuzheng, even if you don't like me, you don't have to humiliate me like this. Who do you think you are? Do you deserve my humiliation? Shisheng sneered. Sect leader. Zhou walked back to Lu Su's carriage and looked at the Shisheng with some dissatisfaction. Miss Lu is a woman. You don't have to speak so harshly. Shisheng. What are you blabbering on about, you cannon fodder? Big brother Zhou, you don't have to speak up for me. I'll just leave. Lu Su was about to get off the carriage. Zhou stopped her. Miss Lu, it's okay. I'll take you away. How can that be? Big brother Zhou, I can't implicate you. Lu Su shook her head vigorously, her face full of apprehension. What do you mean by implicating? You're a woman. How can I be at ease letting you leave alone? Big brother Zhou Shisheng? Damn, it's a pity that you guys aren't acting in Xiongyao dramas. Shisheng gestured at Ting Feng with his chin. Ting Feng was confused. What? Shisheng. They don't have any chemistry. Ting Feng felt very wronged. He had only been with her for a short time. What chemistry could they have? Sect leader, why don't we let Miss Lu come back with us? Sect leader. Are you guys rebelling? Shisheng looked at them calmly. We don't dare. The person who spoke up for Lu Su immediately lowered his head. They had experienced how violent their new sect leader was. Shisheng looked at Zhou Ji, but his words were directed at the others. Whoever still wants to go with her can come with us. The others didn't move. Sect leader, are you really going to be so unreasonable? Zhou Ji questioned loudly. Unreasonable? Shisheng glared at him with a serious expression. Am I not doing this for your own good? Miss Lu Su is so beautiful. Many people will covet her if you bring her back. Do you want to have so many love rivals for no reason? Zhou Ji obviously liked Lu Su. So when Shisheng said this, Zhou Ji's expression changed. Only a small portion of the demon sect members had a partner. The rest were all single. Shisheng was good-looking, but he was so violent. Who would dare to have any improper thoughts? Lu Su was such a weak girl. If she went back with him, wouldn't those people go crazy? Zhou Ji was enlightened. He was even more convinced that he had to bring Lu Su away. The demon sect had been severely suppressed these past few years. They didn't have much of a future. Left Guardian, please tell sect leader that I'm grateful for his nurturing these past few years. If there's a chance, I'll repay him. Zhou Ji's words were obviously directed at Jiang Zhan, who was still recuperating in seclusion. He glanced at Shisheng. Then he said gently to Lu Su, Miss Lu, let's go. Lu Su was like a frightened deer. Her watery eyes were filled with guilt and worry. Big brother Zhou, this? It's okay. Let's go. Zhou Ji thought that Lu Su was worried about him. His heart softened. He pushed her forward and jumped into the carriage. Brothers, we'll meet again if fate wills it. Zhou Ji cupped his fists at the others. Someone advised Zhou Ji. Zhou Ji seemed to have made up his mind. He bid farewell to them one by one. The carriage left in the opposite direction. The afterglow of the setting sun cast a long shadow on the carriage. Shisheng looked on thoughtfully. After a few minutes, he ordered his men to set off. Ting Feng and Shisheng walked side by side. Sect leader, why didn't you let Lu Su go up the mountain? If I don't like her, why did I let her go up the mountain and make things difficult for me? Shisheng's eyes sparkled. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Why? Left Guardian, do you like her too? Ting Feng hurriedly shook his head. Lu Su isn't my type. Is that so? Shisheng murmured. Then he asked, then what type do you like? Ting Feng looked ahead in confusion. I don't know. Without meeting that person, who knows what kind of person I'll fall in love with? You have a point. Without meeting the right person, who knows if I'll fall in love with a scumbag or an idiot? Asterisk little fairy, I want to report you. Son, your wife said you're an idiot. Shisheng. What did you say? Little fairy. I didn't say anything. Fengxiai. Wife, she said you said I'm an idiot. Did you say that? Shisheng. Draw sword. Don't believe the words of an idiot. Be good and stand further away. Little fairy. What are you doing? Let me tell you, I'm your mother. Shisheng. I'm your daughter too. Chapter 387. After Shisheng's robbery, the demon sect finally had some savings. They no longer had to eat steamed buns and porridge every day and worry about what to eat next. Every day, Shisheng made a group of men repair the road. They woke up earlier than chickens and slept later than dogs. But they had meat to eat, so there were people willing to repair the road every day. Shisheng was deeply worried about the demon sect's future. But before she could stop worrying, Jiang Zhan came out of seclusion. Jiang Zhan's seclusion was in a secret room built from a cave at the top of the mountain. As soon as he went down the mountain, he saw a group of people working nearby. What are you doing? Jiang Zhan walked over and asked loudly. He clearly had a delicate and feminine face, but his behavior was like a rough old man's. The people there jumped in fright, and more than 10 pairs of eyes looked over. Sect master. Why you came out of seclusion? What are you trembling for? I can eat you. Jiang Zhan had a bad temper. Why did I ask you? How could they not tremble? You're no longer the sect master. Oh right. The sect master knows about this. And mend the road. Mend the road? Whoa. I called you a few times, but you didn't do it. Why are you doing it now? Are you trying to curry my favor? Who wants to curry your favor? We'll have meat to eat if we repair the road. They didn't dare to answer, afraid that if they said the wrong thing, the former sect master would kill them without an intact corpse. Jiang Zhan looked at them suspiciously. What's wrong with these people? Why are they trembling? Sect master? Ting Feng came to call them back for dinner. When he saw Jiang Zhan standing a bit above, he cried out in surprise. You came out of seclusion? Jiang Zhan turned to look at his Dharma protector. What's wrong with them? Why are they trembling when they see me? Are they spreading rumors about me again? Ting Feng's mouth twitched. He didn't expect his sect master to be so talented in acting. Ting Feng coughed. Sect master, let me tell you something. You mustn't get agitated. Ting Feng brought Jiang Zhan back and recounted everything that had happened during this period to Jiang Zhan. Jiang Zhan's expression was extremely rich, but in the end he exploded. That crazy woman Wu Zheng usurped Ai's position? She even made you repair the road? So you betrayed her? Sect master, we'll still listen to you. We won't be disloyal. Ting Feng raised his watch with a sincere expression. But you also know that we're no match for Miss Wu Zheng's strength. I really raised you guys for nothing. Jiang Zhan was so angry that he snorted. Where is that crazy woman? Bring me to her. Sect master, your injuries have just healed. Jiang Zhan glared fiercely at Ting Feng, who immediately corrected himself. Sect master, come with me. Shi Sheng was fiddling with the herbs that had just been delivered to him. He was preparing to make some poison according to the original owner's memory, but when he did it, he realized that there were so many steps and it was so troublesome. Wu Zheng! Bang! Following this angry roar, the door was kicked open. Shi Sheng raised his head from a pile of green herbs. Jiang Zhan's face was filled with anger as he strode in with his Scarlet Heaven sword in hand. Isn't this the previous sect master? Shi Sheng stood up and retreated. You're not dead yet. Jiang Zhan's face twisted when he saw the things on the table. He gritted his teeth and said, I have a long life. Is that so? Shi Sheng's lips curled into a faint smile. Do you want me to send you on your way? Jiang Zhan was furious. Wu Zheng, don't push your luck. Hurry up and get out of here for I. That won't do. I still have to lead the demon sect to riches. Shi Sheng shook his head and said seriously. Jiang Zhan sneered, a hint of mockery on his feminine face. By riches, you mean robbing people? Shi Sheng raised his brows. What, I can't. Of course not. Jiang Zhan slammed the table, his voice even louder than before. The demon sect doesn't do this kind of thing. Then what does the demon sect do? Murder and arson. You can add a side job. Bullshit. After shouting, Jiang Zhan recalled Shi Sheng's words. What did he mean by adding a side job? Whatever this woman said couldn't be anything good. Rejecting her was the right thing to do. You don't have the final say now. Shi Sheng spread his hands. The demon sect is mine. Jiang Zhan pointed the red cloud sword at Shi Sheng, trembling in anger. Shi Sheng's smile provoked Jiang Zhan even more. He completely forgot that he was defeated and stabbed the red cloud sword at Shi Sheng. Shi Sheng narrowed his eyes. The iron sword suddenly appeared in front of him, blocking the red cloud sword. The two were in a stalemate. Jiang Zhan looked at the sword in Shi Sheng's hand, and suddenly smiled sinisterly. Your sword is an evil sword, right? If it wasn't an evil sword that sucked human blood, then what was it? Shi Sheng didn't care. So what? Jiang Zhan snorted. Do you know what the consequences will be if this news gets out? An evil sword was a divine weapon that was made with special methods. This kind of weapon was much more powerful than other weapons. However, This kind of weapon was usually filled with blood and death. If it wasn't handled properly, it would backfire and turn into a monster that only knew how to kill. The people of the Jianghu hated this kind of weapon to the bone. What consequences? Kill me? Shisheng laughed frivolously, his tone arrogant. That depends on whether they can kill me first. Jiang Zhan gritted his teeth. Wu Zheng, don't think that you're invincible. I'm invincible. So what? Even I'm scared when I act cool. Shisheng took advantage of Jiang Zhan's distraction and quickly kicked Jiang Zhan's lower body. Ouch! Jiang Zhan's hand loosened and he covered his lower body. His face was pale as he squeezed out a few words. Wu Zheng, you're shameless. He kicked his family jewels. It hurt. Shisheng's iron sword drew a beautiful sword flower in the air. He said disdainfully, "What's the use of being shameless? Can it be eaten or used to dominate the world?" Jiang Zhan was in so much pain that he couldn't straighten his back. It hurt when he spoke. This lunatic. Shisheng raised his eyebrows. His voice was light, but carried a sense of arrogant confidence. Those who achieve great things don't care about trifles. What a good don't care about trifles. This sect master will remember you. Jiang Zhan knew that he couldn't beat Shisheng now. He calmed down and waited for the pain to subside. He said ruthlessly, "Wu Zheng, don't be smug. Just wait for I." Jiang Zhan glared at Shisheng one last time, then limped out with Scarlet Heaven sword. Wu Zheng, this lunatic. He would make her beg for mercy sooner or later. Wait. You're thinking too much. You'll never catch up to me. Who do you think you are? How dare you make me wait for you? Jiang Zhan's body swayed. He held on to the door frame to prevent himself from falling. We're not done. He suddenly regretted it a bit. Jiang Zhan. Why am I always the one getting hurt? Little fairy. Because you're not favored. Jiang Zhan. Why am I not favored? Little fairy. Probably, because you look like a woman? Jiang Zhan, come here. I'll beat you into the sky. Little fairy. I'm already in the sky. I'm little fairy. Jiang Zhan. Too damn shameless. Little fairy. Those who achieve great things don't care about trifles. Kneeling down with a plop. Cherub, please vote. Chapter 388. The demon sect was famous for being greedy for life and afraid of death. They even acted as if it was everyone's responsibility to cherish their lives. So ever since Jiang Zhan came out of seclusion, the demon sect changed. Jiang Zhan was the former sect master, so the sect members still listened to him. But the consequence of listening to him was that they had no meat to eat and had to fix the road. You betrayed us for a few pieces of meat. Where's your dignity? Jiang Zhan was furious. On the day we entered the demon sect, didn't you tell us that dignity can't be eaten? A real man must know when to yield, and when to stand tall? We're just enduring hardships. One of the sect members retorted. Jiang Zhan. When did he say such disgraceful things? That wasn't the point. Jiang Zhan waved at the people beside him, indicating for them to gather around. Tonight you guys drug her. I want to take back the sect master's throne. Sect master. Are you retarded? It's not realistic to drug Miss Wu Zheng. The sect member spoke tactfully and looked at Jiang Zhan with sincere eyes. Jiang Zhan. Even if you spoke tactfully and your eyes were sincere, he still felt like he was being looked down upon. Jiang Zhan slapped him. The sect member shrank back and successfully dodged. You still dare to dodge? Come here. Jiang Zhan pointed at him. The sect member meekly stretched his head over and closed his eyes in resignation. Other than bullying them, what else can you do? A clear voice rang out from behind them. Jiang Zhan's hand froze in midair. He turned to look at the woman who had appeared behind him at some point. His anger flared up. So what if I'm teaching my own people a lesson? So what? Shisheng shook his head. This idiot. Is the road fixed? You guys are just chatting here. Don't you want to eat meat? They gave Jiang Zhan a look that said, good luck. Then they ran down the mountain with their tools. This lunatic was his nemesis. Just be a useless former sect master. Don't cause trouble for me. Be careful or I'll cut you. Sheng made a throat-slitting gesture, a malicious smile on his face. Jiang Zhan's chest rose and fell rapidly, his face flushed red. Was it his fault that he couldn't beat this woman? He couldn't accept it. The night was cold, the moon like a hook. The woman on the bed seemed to be asleep, her chest rising and falling slightly. Jiang Zhan flipped in through the window and carefully approached the bed. He looked around and saw that the person on the bed was sleeping soundly. A sinister smile appeared on his face. He took out a small paper bag from his sleeve and opened it. A strong gust of wind suddenly came from the front, and the paper bag in his hand was overturned by the wind. The powder inside was all sprinkled on his face, and he subconsciously closed his eyes. But in the next second he felt that something was wrong and took a few steps back. Clang! He didn't know if he hit a table or a cupboard, but he was forced to stop. He didn't feel any murderous intent, so he used his sleeve to wipe his face. When he could open his eyes, he saw that the woman on the bed had sat up. The moonlight outside the window just happened to shine on the bed, reflecting the faint cold light in her eyes, which was very frightening. Jiang Zhan's scalp turned numb, and his muscles stiffened as he swallowed his saliva with difficulty. In any case, he was a great devil. How could he be frightened by a woman? The next day, when the devil cult members woke up, they found that their former cult leader had been hung on a pillar in the open space. The former cult leader's face was also covered in rashes. Ting Feng looked up at his stupid cult leader. I already told you not to go against that person, but you didn't believe me. This is your retribution, isn't it? It's all your fault. Guyu was expressionless. He crossed his arms and left to absorb the essence of the sun and moon. Ting Feng, Guyu, take I down. Jiang Zhan's voice was a bit hoarse. He had been taught a lesson last night. Ting Feng had someone take his stupid cult leader down and send him inside. Ting Feng applied medicine for Jiang Zhan while persuading him. Cult leader, it's good that Miss Wu Zheng is the cult leader. Everyone in the cult is fed and dressed warmly. And back then, didn't I give you enough to eat and dress warmly? Jiang Zhan refused to accept it. Can't I regret it? Ting Feng. You really didn't. He suddenly realized that cult leader Wu Zheng was much better than his stupid cult leader. Jiang Zhan did his best, but in the end he was taught a lesson by Sheng. After a long time, even Ting Feng stopped caring about him. Jiang Zhan was very upset and ran away from home. Not long after, word spread that Jiang Zhan had gone on a killing spree. However, everyone in the cult was calm, as if they weren't interested in it at all. Seeing Sheng's curiosity, Ting Feng explained. Jiang Zhan had never killed anyone before. He was only 15 when he took over the demon sect. Jiang Zhan's father had passed all his inner strength to him, but his swordsmanship was too bad and he had no management skills. He couldn't be a good cult leader at all. They were the ones who spread those rumors. That way, Jiang Zhan would seem more powerful, and no one would dare to provoke him. Sheng silently gave Ting Feng a big thumbs up. I'll give you 101 points for showing off. I'm not afraid of you getting arrogant if you get one more point. Other than cult leader Jiang, the rest of the demon sect are still very powerful. Ting Feng scratched his head. In order to distinguish between Sheng and Jiang Zhan, they called Sheng cult leader, and Jiang Zhan cult leader Jiang. Of course, they still called Jiang Zhan cult leader in private. She didn't react when Sheng bumped into her occasionally, so these people took it as Sheng's silent acknowledgement. Sheng nodded. Very powerful. Good at ganging up on a single person. Faster than a rabbit in a one-on-one fight. He knelt down to the demon sect. Actually, our sect's territory isn't here. Ting Feng's eyes were filled with nostalgia. The demon sect wasn't this poor in the past. They only became this poor after Jiang Zhan took over after the cult leader before the cult leader left. They really couldn't afford to have a cult leader who didn't know how to manage things and gave orders randomly. If it's not here, where is it? Sheng's interest was piqued. She was wondering how the demon sect could be this poor. It didn't make sense. Ting Feng looked to the east. MTD, the closest mountain to the sea. The demon sect has lived there for generations, but it was burned down in the end. Ting Feng's voice grew gloomy. 5 years ago, The orthodox Wulin encircled and annihilated the demon sect. The demon sect suffered countless casualties, and these people were the only ones who managed to escape. Tingfeng and Guyu weren't Dharma protectors at that time. They were just Jiangzhan's bodyguards. Jiangzhan was ordered to escape with the demon sect's younger generation and set up camp here. He and Guyu mysteriously became Dharma protectors. Did I have a grudge against Jiangzhan in the past? Shisheng had wanted to ask this question for a long time. Damn, it was one thing for Jiangzhan to look like she owed him something, but the members of the demon sect also acted like they were very close to her. Tingfeng was stunned. After a while he said, "Cult leader might not remember, but when the cult leader before the cult leader was still alive, he once brought cult leader Jiang to see Granny Yao. Cult leader Jiang was pranked by you and has always remembered it. He would bring it up and talk about it when he's free, so everyone knows about you." Shisheng was silent. The original owner of this body really didn't remember anything. The original owner was probably too young. It was just a prank, but he actually remembered it for so long. He was really something. Jiangzhan. What nonsense are you talking to her about? Tingfeng. I'm just telling the truth. Jiangzhan bullshit. Tingfeng. Chapter 389. The Jiang who couldn't do without a chief. With the election for the chief around the corner, Shisheng brought his men down the mountain once more. This time, Shisheng had them rob people on their own, while she went to Bright Moon Mountain Villa alone. The male and female leads would definitely attend such an important event. Bright Moon Mountain Villa was very lively right now. Most people were in groups, but Shisheng was alone. He was also quite attractive, so he immediately attracted some attention. However, Shisheng didn't recognize any of those people. She only recognized the Jadewater Mountain Villa's Villa Lord. Miss Wu Zheng is also here to attend the chief assembly? The Villa Lord walked up to Shisheng. Ignoring the scheming look in his eyes, his attitude wasn't bad. I can't attend? Of course not. Then isn't there something wrong with you asking this question? Aren't you here to attend the chief assembly or to kill people? Mannerhead. Who taught this little girl with thorns all over her body? Suppressing his anger, the Villa Lord did his best to remain calm. Miss Wu Zheng, you don't have an invitation, right? Invitations were only sent to people with status in the Jianghu. Heretical sects definitely wouldn't send invitations. What does it have to do with you whether I have an invitation or not? Why was this Villa Lord of Jadewater Mountain Villa getting close to her? Miss Wu Zheng, you don't need to be so cautious. If you don't have an invitation, I can take you in. Aren't you afraid that I'll go in and kill them all? Shisheng looked at the Villa Lord with a half-smile. The Villa Lord choked, his eyes darkening. If she really went in and did something, it would implicate him. It wasn't worth it. Big sis. A cheerful voice cut in from the side. Uncle Zhong. The Villa Lord's expression relaxed when he saw the person running over. He changed the topic. Little Luo, you're here too. Amen. Bai Luo nodded. She looked at Shisheng and asked curiously. Big sis, you're also here to attend the chief assembly? There was one good thing about being naive and sweet, which was that she'd forget all the bad intentions you'd shown her. Amen. Shisheng nodded casually, then glanced behind her. Fu Yin wasn't there. Where is young Master Fu? The Manor Lord asked, as if he could read the Shisheng's mind. Bai Luo's smile froze as a trace of sadness flashed through her eyes. She slowly lowered her head and muttered, I don't know. Seeing Bai Luo's expression, the village lord seemed to have thought of something and patted her head like an elder. Let's go in first. Yeah. Bai Luo was still feeling down. The male lead must have met Lu Su and was together with her. Otherwise, Bai Luo wouldn't have such an expression. Shisheng clicked his tongue thoughtfully and walked toward the gate of the villa. The Zhuangzhu wanted to see how Shisheng was going to get in, so he immediately followed her. Bai Luo followed behind with her head lowered. When Shisheng walked to the entrance to check the invitations, there was a sudden commotion behind him. It's Master Fu. A faint voice came from afar. Bai Luo pinched her clothes and looked into the distance. Fu Yun and a woman walked out from the crowd, both dressed in white. The man was handsome and cold while the woman was gentle and beautiful. When they walked together, they were a perfect couple. I don't see Zhou. He must have become cannon fodder. Xiaoluo Mimi. Lu Su was the first to see Bai Luo standing in front of them. Her expression was pleasantly surprised and worried. Why did you run off by yourself that day? Yun-Gij and I were very worried about you. Bai Luo looked at Fu Yun, who was a step behind her. Fu Yun's gaze only paused on her for a second before moving away. Bai Luo's eyes were filled with disappointment. He wasn't worried about her at all. Thank you for your concern. I'm fine, Bai Luo replied quietly. Lu Su intimately grabbed Bai Luo's hand. Bai Luo shrank back, but Lu Su secretly used more force so that she couldn't break free. Fu Yun was standing in front of her, so Bai Luo didn't dare to make any big movements. She could only let Lu Su hold her hand uncomfortably. Lu Su had a gentle smile on her face, but she couldn't hide the smugness in her eyes. Did Big Sis do something wrong? Are you angry at Big Sis? No. Bai Luo shook her head. Then why didn't little sister Xiaoluo tell us before leaving? I thought I did something wrong. Bai Luo only shook her head and tried to pull her hand back. She didn't expect that Lu Su would suddenly loosen her grip a bit. She exerted more force and Lu Su's body fell backwards. Behind her was the stairs. Bai Luo panicked and tried to grab her, but Fu Yun was faster. He grabbed Lu Su's waist and pulled her into his embrace. Bai Luo's hand froze in midair. Little sis Xiaoluo. Lu Su looked at Bai Luo, still in shock. She called out weakly without questioning her. That delicate and pitiful appearance caused everyone to automatically imagine a grudge between the two of them. Shixing gave Lu Su a thumbs up. This was the highest level of acting like a white lotus. If it weren't for the heavens protecting her, the female lead probably wouldn't even be able to last a single blow from that person. Fu Yun lowered his head and asked if Lu Su was all right without looking at Bai Luo. Bai Luo's fingers trembled. She slowly withdrew her hand and lowered her head to look at the embroidered shoes peeking out from under her skirt. I'm fine. I didn't expect little sis Xiaoluo to be so strong. Lu Su shook her head at Fu Yun. She's just like that. Rash when she does things, Fu Yun added. Bai Luo's hands were clasped together in her sleeves as she whispered, I'm sorry. Shixing shook his head and turned to leave. Who knew that Lu Su would stare at her and call out to her? Shixing tilted his head to look at her, a smile tugging at the corner of his lips. That smile was very faint. It was just a slight lift of the corners of her mouth, but no one could ignore her smile. Who's that? Wu Zheng. Didn't you hear that girl call her? Wu Zheng? Which Wu Zheng? Which Wu Zheng? How many Wu Zheng are there in the Jianghu? I heard she has a sword that's even stronger than Scarlet Heaven Sword. I wonder if that's true. Everyone looked at Shixing inquisitively, as if trying to figure out where she kept her iron sword. Lu Su's voice was as gentle as water. Miss Wu Zheng, I'm very sorry about what happened last time. I didn't know. Stop. Shixing reached out to stop her. Zhouji left with you willingly. It had nothing to do with me. There's no need to apologize to me. Lu Su felt awkward for a moment. Her eyes darkened as she took a step back. I was overthinking things. Please don't take it to heart, Miss Wu Zheng. She paused. Is Miss Wu Zheng also here to participate in the Alliance Head Conference? Why don't we go in together? White lotus flowers weren't scary. White lotus flowers who could talk weren't scary either. White lotus flowers who were scheming and could talk were the scary ones. Look at what Lu Su said. She didn't say a single word about her not having an invitation. Yet it made everyone think that she didn't have an invitation. I'm afraid I'll turn white, Shixing said with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. Lu Su naturally didn't understand. She looked at Shixing in confusion. Actually, Lu Su was already very impatient in her heart. This woman didn't play by the rules time and time again. But she couldn't show it on her face. She could only smile gently at Shixing. Please vote that you're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.